Call this meeting to order. Call this meeting to order.
Okay. The City of San Clemente respects the many people of different faiths who reside here. The City Council historically begins its session with an invocation offered by one of the religious leaders of our community with full appreciation of our shared belief that we are one nation under God. And while the city cannot endorse any particular religion, we respect the religious freedom and freedom of expression of all our citizens to pray as they feel led to pray. This evening's invocation will be given by Bishop Rod Gillens of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
And following that, Councilman Donchak will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Our Heavenly Father, we stand before you this night at the beginning of this City Council meeting. We're thankful for the opportunity to be able to be here, and we're thankful for this community and for the freedoms that we have in enjoying this land. We're thankful for those who serve our city and for their dedication and their commitment to be able to hold up the laws of this city. And Heavenly Father, we ask thy blessings to be upon this council this night and those in attendance, that we might be able to have respect for one another and respect the citizens of this community, and all may feel fairness in it. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Brown?
Here.
Councilmember Donchak? Here. Councilmember Ward? Here. Mayor Pro Tem Baker?
Here.
Mayor Ham?
Here.
First item on the agenda is a presentation by Graham Stapleberg concerning the World Surf League Championship Tour event at Trestles Beach.
Before we do that, I just want to make an announcement. I made a bet last week with the mayor of San Juan Capistrano that the Triton football team was going to beat the San Juan Hills high school football team. I wouldn't take that bet with Dana Hills just because I am a staunch non-Dana Hills fan, being that I am a graduate of San Clemente High School. But with San Juan Hills, I figured it'd be a fun rivalry. And the bet was the loser has to wear the other city's shirt the entire council meeting. So there it is.
Okay. This will be a fast meeting.
Yeah, this will be a fast meeting, right? So anyway, yeah, so congratulations to
I'd like to move that we adjourn.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll second that motion. No, I'm just kidding. I won't second that. So anyway. Fails for lack of a motion.
Fails for lack of a second.
Yeah.
There we go. Just in case you enjoy it.
Hey, Graham, how are you?
Yes.
Before you give your presentation, I just want to say a couple words. It's San Clemente has a unique opportunity that we have the Lowers Pro in our backyard every year, and we're one of the only cities that has a professional surfing event or a professional event of any kind in Orange County. So it's pretty neat that we have that. And I tried to get him here last year, but it was a little too late. So this year he's come and give a presentation to us. So, Graham, take it away.
Well, thanks for having me, Mayor Ham, and also the rest of the council members. I think I just wanted to, really it's more about giving everyone an update of what we do at the World Surf League, and in particular the impact that the event that we stage every year down at Trestles, which as everyone knows is a very sensitive area, but most importantly it has a huge impact not only in this area but also for the rest of Orange County. So I think what I'd like to do is just show, this is just a 60-second commercial just highlighting the event for this year and provides some great footage. So just to kind of give some context around this event, and we started this event back in 2000. So this is going to be its 15th year, and it's been happening every year ever since it started. It's the 8th stop on our World Surf League, which is the Elite Championship Tour event that takes place throughout the world, starting in Australia, goes all the way through and finishes in Hawaii at the end of the season. This particular event is the only event on the U.S. Mainland, which is part of the championship tour. You've probably heard of the big event that takes place in Huntington Beach every year, the U.S. Open, but that doesn't fall under the championship tour event. So this event is certainly the elite event that's on U.S. Mainland. It's had in my opinion, and certainly we've the feedback that we've been getting, the impact that it has not only in this community is immense, but certainly the athletes love coming here every year just because of the quality of the wave. It's a very high performance wave. We have the top elite 36 men and the top 18 women from around the world that attend this event. The largest prize money out of all events on tour, based on the fact that we have a heritage series, so over $800,000 in prize money up for grabs. So it's a significant event from that standpoint alone. In addition to the two elite men's and women's events that are going on for the first year, this year we stage in a heritage series event, which is basically paying tribute and acknowledgement to the legends and icons of the sport. So we got 6 of the top athletes from the 70s and 80s in the men's division, the likes of Rabbit Bartholomew, Sean Thompson, Mark Richards, Simon Anderson, Michael Ho, Shane Horan, to name a few. So they all have had a profound impact on the sport in the past. And then also for the women too, top 3 women, former world champions, Lane Beachley, Lisa Anderson, as well as Sofia Milanovic from Peru. So certainly it's going to round out a really great event for the entire week. I think the other things that I just wanted to point out for this year, working with Mayor Ham, is that we're really starting to look at trying to build a better relationship and rapport with the city of San Clemente. We've taken on some new initiatives. This year, for the first time, we've had the trials at T Street, which I think was well received by the local kids as well as the community at large. In the past, we've always had that down at Trails, and it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. So I think first and foremost, I just want to thank the city of San Clemente for providing us a permit. Certainly Hurley wants to get behind it more, and I think it was, as I said earlier, very well received by the local community. And it's an opportunity for the young kids to be able to, rub shoulders with some of these up-and-coming stars as well in San Clemente. So that was fantastic. I think the other key new initiative that we looked at is, again, working with Mayor Ham, was putting together a large Jumbotron screen at the Pier of San Clemente, which essentially allows an opportunity for families to come down to the beach at San Clemente, as opposed to be putting on more strain on the already sensitive area down at Trestles. And so we're going to be broadcasting live the entire event throughout the day at the Pier at San Clemente, which is great. And on top of that, during the evenings, we're going to have some live, not live, but surf movies as well. So that's been interspersed throughout the week. So that should be fantastic. I think based on the swell forecast, we're looking at going straight off the back on the Wednesday. So the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th is all looking for great waves. So that's going to be a great thing too. The other thing, just to bring some attention to, this event gets broadcast live, obviously, through streaming through our own website, but more importantly, it gets broadcast live on several networks around the world. In recent months, we've just secured a deal with CBS Sports, so they're going to be broadcasting certain key events, heats live, and certainly the semifinals and finals. It also goes live to Oceana Cable and Time Warner Cable in Hawaii, and it goes live to 6 other key surf markets around the world. Again, bringing major attention to this area, certainly both San Clemente and Lower Trestles. The other important thing for us is just basically, just coming here and we utilize the infrastructure and the accommodations have all been utilized by the athletes and the media and also our staff. We have a traveling staff around 75 people. So that alone all requires, support from San Clemente. We've also been working with a lot of our basic partners, Pacifica for one of our partners. They've been working through with all the local restaurants and bars, providing special discounts for the period. So there's a lot of those sort of activations that we continue to do to support the local community, as well as ensure that the people that are coming here to watch the event have a great time. So that's kind of an overview, and it's been a thank you for the time, and I think it's just good to, continue this going forward and build the rapport and the relationship in the future. Thanks a lot.
Graham, thanks for coming out today. We appreciate it, and I know I'm going to go down there. Bob happens to live right above T Street, so he got to watch the whole Trials event from his front porch. Was pretty cool.
There were some, by the way, there were some really good surfers in the water. It was quite a sight, yeah.
One of the cool things too about this event is now, being an international event, we actually have quite a few of the competitors, not only from San Clemente, but have moved and now call San Clemente their home. Felipe Toledo from Brazil, Jordy Smith from South Africa, of course, Chloe Andino, who's a local San Clemente guy.
Adriana de Souza, another Brazilian as well. So there's a number of, which, the locals probably have to, it's a balancing act, because, taking up more, valuable time in the water, so that's always a challenge. But certainly, I think people have viewed this venue, or certainly this area, as a key component for training as well, to set their sights on other areas around the world.
And before we let you go, who is the local that won the trials that's going to be competing in the event?
That's a good question. I don't even know.
Is it Ian?
Ian? I'm not sure.
Oh, shoot. I had his name on the tip of my tongue. I just forgot it. But anyway.
I know who it's not. Me.
It's not you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
My public service is to stay off the waves altogether
Yeah.
for the residents of San Clemente. So I'm selflessly going to continue to donate my absence on the waves here, so all the worthy people could have it out there. So.
Ian Crane. Ian Crane. That's the guy, local guy. So anyway, good luck, Tim, and thanks for your time tonight.
And I'll see you down during the week.
Yes, sir, I will.
All right, thanks,
Okay,
guys.
thank you.
Members of the audience who wish to address council on matters that are within the jurisdiction of the City of San Clemente, but not separately listed on the agenda, may do so during the oral communications portion of the meeting. A total time limitation of 30 minutes is allocated for oral communication part 1, with each speaker being allotted 3 minutes in which to give his or her presentation. I have 4 cards.
We have 4 cards this evening. Bob Thompson, Brad Malamute, Rick Anderson, and John and Sally Reed. And just a reminder, when you do step up to the podium here, we have a green, yellow, red light, and there's also a timer on there to give you an indication of how much time you have left, and I will be stopping you promptly so that everybody gets the same amount of time. So, Bob?
I want to thank get closer. I want to thank the council for giving me time to talk about litigation in the city. A number of months back, I talked about it before. But as we all know, we lost the lawsuit to a 3-judge panel on the beach parking issue. Now, initially, when I heard about the pending lawsuit, I thought it was frivolous. I mean, it was not very important. I said, isn't beach parking good? And isn't the parking down at the Pier Bowl frequently impacted? Well, finally, I got around to reading the statute and the ordinances. And in essence, the statute states in effect that when a political entity collects money for one purpose and they don't use it for that purpose, they have to refund the money to the people who paid it in. Now, the first ordinance came out in 1989 that stated how and where the money should be used. In 1996, the ordinance was amended, and it eliminated a parking structure at the Pier Bowl. Well, that's the only viable option because there's no land available there. At-grade improvements aren't going to do anything to improve parking. So in the 3 minutes I have, I don't want to get into the details, but I do want to thank Fred Swagels for the very excellent article that he wrote in today's Orange County Register. It gave some of the details. Now, to me, it was obvious from reading the statutes that the law and the facts were against the city. Now, I realize nobody on the city council is an attorney, and I am an attorney, an 82-year-old one, but nevertheless an attorney. Now, whoever recommended that the city go forward with the litigation really did not do the city or its taxpayers any favors. We lost the lawsuit on the lower court on appeal. Now we have to give the money back, and We have attorney's fees, wasted a lot of staff time on this issue. Now, and as far as I'm concerned, I can't say it, it'd be harsh to say that it was a waste of money for the litigation, but it was certainly an unproductive use of resources. Let's see. Well, let's face it, the game's over. Take the lumps, give the money back, and let's go on with our lives. Now, I'd like to make a recommendation. Wouldn't it have been nice if the city council had some resource to go to for advice when they get into a tricky legal matter? So I'd like to suggest to the council look into the possibility of setting up a legal advisory committee. There's probably 500 or more or less attorneys in town. I'm sure any number of them would be more than happy to donate their time. Oops,
Thank you, Mr. Thompson.
okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sorry I didn't get to my recommendation, but
Okay. Hey, Brad.
Hi, I'm Mayor Ham, Council. After more than 3 years last Friday, the Court of Appeals affirmed the trial court's judgment ordering the BPIF Beach Parking Fund to be refunded. 6,200 homeowners, about a quarter of the city, are going to receive a refund. I have provided you the appellate court decisions, I gave it to Joanne earlier, to read, and I think you should all read the decision. It's very easy to read, and it's very explanative of what happened. Yet the city claims in the article today that it was disappointed with the result, yet they sent 2 representatives to see the court hearing. It's hard to believe that the city was actually disappointed by the result. Over a year ago, speaking as a homeowner, Susie Hatton said homeowners inland of I-5 might use beach parking less than was envisioned. Therefore, 25 years later, there's no shortage of beach parking. The excess collection seems unnecessary and irresponsible. I'm grateful to those who advocate for the return of the funds. 1/4 of our city will benefit from the return of these funds. Yet, trying to do good is not appreciated by this council. One council member even told me, quote, "You have reached the end of my patience. I look forward to the time when your lawsuit with the city is behind us, so you will no longer hold me hostage from the podium." The implication is that forcing the council to follow the law is making them a hostage. But we have no option when council chooses to not follow the law. This can end tonight. Expedite the refund. We're willing to work with you to do so. The appeal has had an adverse effect. Taking that appeal was really a bad judgment by the city. Now, the ECR lot is being held hostage. The court said if the city seeks to use the vacant lot in the future for the purpose inconsistent with beach parking fees, plaintiffs then may challenge the city. This holding restricts the use of the ECR lot because the city cannot prove that there's a beach parking shortage used by the now built-out exacted lot owners. The city will not be able to build that lot. Somebody will sue the city if they attempt to. That didn't have to happen if the city hadn't appealed the judgment. That will result, and if it does, it will result in additional legal expenses and another refund at the cost of the city of 6,200 people. In April, plaintiffs proposed a settlement, which was rejected by this council, which would have benefited the city significantly, giving them money to build the ECR lot, allowing the city to keep the RCR lot, and it would have saved $135,000 of legal fees. Yet this council rejected it. I think the city needs to accept this judgment and begin the refund process. I ask that the city manager, city attorney, Jeff Oderman if necessary, and all council members, subject to the Brown Act notification, meet with us, and let's get this done. Let's have a kumbaya meeting. We're not enemies anymore. You know, the courts have ruled. 2 separate courts have ruled. It's time for the city to act under the law as they've all taken the oath to do. We will work with you to get this money back, and 1/4 of the city will benefit from that. I ask you to do that, and I'm here to help and work with you to get that accomplished. Thank you, everybody.
Rick Anderson, following Rick will be John and Sally Reed.
Good evening. I'm Rick Anderson with the Pier Merchants Association, and I don't want to take a lot of time up here today because I think we've already spent a lot of time on this already, but I just want to let you know where we are with the Pier Station platform. The Pier Merchants Association, Downtown Business Association, San Clemente Historical Society, San Clemente Chamber of Commerce, Metrolink, OCTA, Riverside County Transportation Commission, Inland Empire Cities, and several past mayors, Senator Pat Spates and Assemblyman Bill Breaux, all oppose the abandonment of the Pier platform station. I've talked to the outlet centers, and they responded overwhelmingly in support of the downtown and Pier merchants and remain ready to help us with anything that we can do to maintain that station. The Riverside County Transportation Commission yearly advertises the San Clemente Ocean Festival, Chambers Fiesta Block Party, Seafest Chowder Cook-Off in the press enterprise every year out there to draw visitors to San Clemente. The downtown merchants have started a petition on the 1 and 200 blocks to try to make you understand how important it is to them, with not only the business almost all complete, have signed it now, but residents and even train visitors. I haven't contacted the Coastal Commission yet because I know where they stand, and I don't want to waste their time, the staff time, responding to this insanity. You need to understand, we're not upset because you considered it. We're upset because you didn't consider us. To make this kind of statement and move forward on this without talking to us was very upsetting and frustrating. It's been a lot of unnecessary work for this community and a bad idea, and I'd like to see if we could work to end it and to finding solutions to the problem, which, as I understand it, is a kiosk that doesn't work, which I think we can resolve if we worked on it, and be considered in the process. And work on other issues that are affecting the businesses in downtown San Clemente. So I'd like to see if we can work forward to a solution to this problem. And now on a happier note, changing subjects, I have a few seconds left over. In 2013, we worked with the redevelopment agency to redo the infrastructure down in the Pier Bowl, the Ole Hansen pavers, the planters, lights, so on and so forth. The merchants decided that we'd like to see the at-grade crossing put with Ole Hansen pavers. There wasn't enough money, and we're going to leave the asphalt there. I signed a promissory note to the city for the $10,000 that it was going to take to go ahead and finish that project. Unfortunately, some of my sponsors didn't come through, and my wife and I have been paying for that for the last 2 years, and I want to present you with the last check for that payment due on my promissory note to the city of San Clemente for those Ole Hansen pavers down in the Pier Bowl. And thank you, and let's wrap up this Pier Bowl issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
John and Sally Reed? Or just John Reed?
Yes, John Reed. Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to speak on behalf of the residents of the T Street area. My wife and I built our home at Cristobal, T Street, about 15 years ago. It was a dream to live there, and we really enjoyed it. But the dream has turned into a nightmare. One of the reasons why we moved there is because we love people. We love surfers. I surf. I love everything about that area. But what has happened is it has gotten progressively worse. And what I mean by that is, it's going to be tough in 3 minutes, but public intoxication, public urination, public drug use, exhibition of speed, public sex. It is horrible what's happening down there. I'm embarrassed to live there, frankly. My wife and I had, just one story, my wife and I had some people over for dinner, and we're having a nice dinner on our deck, and our company looks across the street to see a man urinating right on our street. I've got another story about, I came home with my 2 girls, pull in my driveway, and there's someone urinating on the side of my wall. And this is every week it happens. Another story about my children and I having lunch on that same deck to watch these young kids pull out a bong about 1.5 feet tall, smoking pot on the hood of their truck with impunity. How do they think they can get away with that? It's because they do. They do. And it's become a big problem. The exhibition of speed, them doing donuts throughout that cul-de-sac and then blowing straight through the stop sign all the way up Esplanade. Someone is going to die. It's awful. We wait for a car crash when they do their donuts, or wait to hear somebody go over that cliff. And I pray that it doesn't happen, but I know eventually it will. We watched someone OD across the street. They couldn't get this poor young person out of their car. The fire department had to come, break into the car, and take them away. This is happening day in, day out, right here in our beautiful community. And I hope and pray that you do something about it before more people get hurt and people die. It's that serious. So thank you for your time.
Mr. Reed, Your neighborhood has the best neighborhood watch program in the city of
Sure
San
does.
Clemente. Oh, so are you involved with that?
Absolutely, we are. We
Okay.
are. We talk with our neighbors constantly. It's a huge problem. And we're basically representing the neighborhood this evening. I wish everyone could come and share their stories. I just shared you three minutes worth, but I've got a handful.
Well, I would encourage you to set up a neighborhood watch meeting, and then I'm happy to attend, and maybe other council members as well, but that might be an immediate next step.
We
Because your
need-
neighbor, it's the best one, arguably, it's got a great reputation.
If these
It does.
kids thought that they were going to get busted and go to jail, they wouldn't be there. Through Instagram and other social media, they say, we're partying at T Street, and next thing you know, literally, there are 200 people there. And I don't want to take any more time and disrespect other people that only got 3 minutes, but it's horrid.
John, have you talked to our chief of police back there on the right?
I will.
Chief, maybe you want to raise your hand just so he sees which one's the chief of police? There you go. So he's the gentleman you want to talk to.
Thank you so much for your
Yep.
time.
And sorry, John, one more thing. If you have some suggestions of things that you might think could work after you talk to Chief Moody, please send them to the city manager and the city council, would you?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Can I correct one thing? You're asking for more patrols, aren't you? You're asking for more
Absolutely.
patrolling through your neighborhood.
With consequence, because when they come, they will come and they'll drive by, and sometimes they disperse, and then they'll come right back. If they bust them, sometimes they'll give them a ticket. I've never seen anybody actually go to jail. They're doing it with impunity. They know there's not a consequence. When there's consequence, they won't show up there anymore. It's pretty simple, I think, but I'm just a citizen.
Thanks,
So
sir.
thank you so much.
Yep. And our last card,
Oh, you have another
yeah, our
card.
last card is Joe Scolari.
City Council, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to touch a little bit on what he said. I mean, it's true. There's people using drugs all over America. I don't know if everybody knows this, but in America, teenagers, the number one killer is not anything but heroin. Heroin is the number one killer in America with teenage kids, the same kids that we all have. My kids are younger, but everybody has high school kids. San Clemente High School is ranked pretty high in that state with epidemic of heroin use. People are on drugs at San Clemente High School. Kids are in the neighborhood. Everybody's showing up to T Street and everywhere else. Why? Because there's no prevention. The White House recently announced that they're going to back $14 million. It's not a lot, but it's a start to support finding a solution to heroin epidemic. It's our number one killer. People are treating cancer. Let's treat addiction. But what's important is that, you know, the prevention side of it. The government has gone into the prisons. They've said that the best way to prevent crime is to prevent drug use, to be preventative. And the only way to do that is to normal society, live amongst people and share encouragement. Encouragement with people suffering from addiction, and you can, you know, smile, it's true, is that it's encouragement. It's lead by example, Mr. Mayor. It's showing them love. These people need love. And I have metrics in my business. I do sober living. I don't provide any treatment services, but I provide love and encouragement. And I have a metric that I can show you in our books that shows success rates of people that are still alive. And, you know, the city has taken a lot of intimidation efforts, targeting efforts. It's pretty well documented that Beverly Thompson was hired from Newport Beach, Costa Mesa, to target sober living and treatment. But what the bigger concern is that we're not aligned. Because to answer that question is to work with people to find solutions to getting healthy and better. And we're not going to do that if people that are trying to treat addicts are not aligned with the municipal cities that are working against them because a few people don't like the fact that something's different. That's it. You know how many times the police have come to my house? 0. Any of my houses. Have there ever been a crime committed? Absolutely not. But it's pretty easy to say they're different. And the city can sue us. There's 13 of us that are being sued. And the city can sue us. But at the end of the day, what we realize is that the only way to prevent this gentleman's concern is to be preventative and treat people with addiction. Not wait till they end up in jail, rob people, commit crimes when they're strung out, when they're peeing in the neighborhood, when they're walking around drunk. The only way, proven way in this world with this such high level of epidemic of use is to be preventative and to treat people, not wait till they end up in jail.
Thank you, sir. That was the last card.
I'll make a motion that we waive reading in full of all resolutions and ordinances.
Second.
Motion by Doncheck, second by Ward. All's in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0.
Closed session report, city attorney.
There we go, sorry about that. Yeah, Mayor and Council, we did have this report. The council authorized initiation of 10 abatement cases in nuisance actions. The details of those cases will be disclosed at a subsequent time because we've concluded that if they were disclosed at this point, service of process would be difficult and complicated. There was, the council voted unanimously in favor of 9 of those. With regard to one of them, due to the proximity of her property to the subject property, Councilmember Doncheck abstained, so that vote was 4-0 with 1 abstention.
All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion unless council, staff, or the public requests removal of an item for separate discussion and action. I have not received any requests for removal.
Lori?
Nothing.
Tim?
I have item A, and then I need to recuse myself on item F.
Copy. A, you said was the first one?
Yes.
Okay. Kathy? Bob?
I have a few. B2, E, F, I, and J.
Okay. And I'm going to pull D.
Move the balance.
Second. Motion by Doncheck, second by Ham. All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item 6A. Tim?
Yeah, so this is regarding the minutes on the partnership status discussions. If you look at page 12 of the minutes, this is 9-115-6A-112. You know, there were some caveats that were behind some of the, the discussion we had about reaching the 300, you know, the 300 member threshold. One thing I want to make clear in the notes, and I'm sure it's going to be clear in the video, but that can be ahead of the 2-year agreement. And so if someone does reach that 300 member threshold in the interim, before that time, they can revisit the decision and bring it back to council. So I just wondered if you could make that clarification on that point. The second thing is, and I didn't get a chance to review the tape, but under the second, on page 14, we denied partnership status to the Bears Football Club, the Youth Rugby Club, and the Soccer Club. And then there's a with understanding the partnership status will be reconsidered in the event of their membership reaching 300 threshold. I don't remember that being part of that conversation because there were other elements in terms of hardship and other items. And so I'd like to maybe take off that caveat on there because I don't think that was part of that conversation.
I think the consensus was that if they reached all the requirements, not just that one, because the ones that we discussed partnership levels for was they were shy in one level.
Right.
Whereas those ones you decided were shy in multiple levels.
That's right, and so I think I'd just like the minutes reflect more if they can attain the requisite standards, all the requirements on that.
Yeah. Agreed. Anybody have any concerns with that?
Well, yeah, but I think we also talked about, you know, any of these groups that have a change in their status or something's different or something happened, number of members, some other part of that they should come back to the city council and ask.
Yeah,
That's
right.
That's what you.
Which, Bob makes a good point, that if, for example, they have a change in their status, a point where they do attain that, they don't have to wait until their partnership agreement expires in 2 years. They could do that ahead of time.
You guys are saying the same thing.
So, for example, for this denied partnership status to the Bears, the Youth Rugby, and the Surf Soccer Club, the understanding of the partnership status will be reconsidered in the event that they meet the requirements of the partnership status, and it can be considered ahead of the 2-year, you know, revisitation date, effectively. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And with that, I'll move the item.
Motion by Brown, second by Baker. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Item B2. Bob?
B2 is, hang on one second while I get to it. Mr. Petchus is here. This is a zoning administration that talks about a special activities permit for downtown valet operations for a 2-week trial period. I'm very interested in this, Jim, and one of the things that interests me is that I think we should get some feedback. I didn't see anything in the minutes here that talked about feedback. Did we talk about how we're going to get some feedback on whether this is a success or not?
Yeah, we're going to have our staff monitoring during the 2 weeks. We're going to go out in the field and observe, and since the staff's going to be out there, we can also get direct feedback from customers and how they feel it went and the service that was delivered to them. So we can just, Cliff Jones, who's our downtown liaison, is going to be down there again to observe the operations. We actually didn't think about the customer feedback portion of it, but we could certainly add that in as part of that process.
I think that's an important part of this because, let's see what the customers think of it. Let's see what the customers that use the valet parking think of it. And let's see what some of the other customers that choose not to use the valet parking think of it. Let's pass out, we've got comment cards that we use at community development all the time, don't we? Let's take a whole batch of them down there and hand them out to folks.
Well, our intent was we can do that, certainly. We can add, basically we call those typically in the field an intercept survey, where we just, walk up to people and ask them a list of questions in regard to we can design one for specifically the valet service. Also, we intended to report back in a tray memo to the city council how it went. So we can add that as part of the, staff analysis and providing you feedback on how the operations went, the circulation, whether, was it successful, wasn't successful, was there backup of traffic or delays or anything like that. All that'll be reported. So we can just add that to that intended kind of feedback loop.
If that's okay with the rest of the council, I think that'd be a nice feature to have in there to get some feedback from the folks that are actually using it. And I also wanted to pull that up to give it a little bit more publicity because what are the dates for this project?
Oh, no, I think it's not this weekend, but the following weekend it starts.
Following 2 weekends downtown, we're taking 3 parking spaces and we're going to put in a valet park down there. So if you're driving down Del Mar, is it going to be westbound or eastbound? Do we know? Anyway, if you find a valet, whatever it is.
Second block at Del Mar, right in front of where the Mexican restaurant down there?
El Ranchito.
Is right in front of there's 3 spaces that would be located on that side of the street.
And then you can leave your car, go have dinner, do whatever you want to do, and then come and pick your car up. So we're trying it out for 2 weekends, and we want to get feedback from residents. So if you don't get a comment card and you've got some feedback after this trial, call Mr. Petchus. Your number is, Jim?
Well, you can either email me at Petchus.
Can we give your mobile number, please?
Petchus J.
Yeah, we could text you. Or
san-clemente.org or 361-6195.
Okay, Mr. Petchus, 361-6195. Or call the city, leave somebody a number. We want your feedback on this, good and bad. So, and with that, I'll move the item. Thank you, Jim.
Motion by Baker, second by Don Check. All's in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Next item is item D, and I apologize ahead of time for bringing this up to staff because I didn't give you a email warning, but I seem to recall last time we discussed this, we discussed bringing the sidewalk all the way down to Mariposa if feasible, and I didn't see that in the report, so I was just curious, what was the reason for not doing that?
Which item is this?
Item D, it's the...
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Calle Puente sidewalk improvements. Hey, Tom. Sorry to put you on the spot. Like I said, I know I didn't send you an email ahead of time. So do you recall the discussion we had when we were going over these improvements? We talked about continuing the sidewalk all the way to Mariposa as an opportunity. I think we eliminated some other ones and.
Right. I
beefed
think
this one
actually
up.
Tom Vonnegut led that discussion, but I watched it on the video.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with it.
Okay. Was there, can you give us any feedback on why we didn't continue to Mariposa?
I can, from watching the video, my recollection was the council decided to budget $70,000 and move forward with this project in an
Okay.
expeditious manner. So we had a separate item to get back to you regarding North Beach pedestrian improvement projects and then additional CDBG-related
Okay.
sidewalk projects. So,
So we still have more coming forth, is basically what you're saying?
right, separate issue, exactly.
Good, I'm good with that. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, I'll move the item. Motion by Ham, second by Baker, all in favor? Aye. Item E, thank you, Tom. You're welcome. Tom. You don't look like Ken Nance.
No, I'm not kidding. That's Dave Riebensdorf.
Dave, this bid rejection for our emergency generator, this seemed like a great deal here, and tell me why it's not, though.
Staff really grappled over the cost. It is an excellent bid, but the cost is so low that staff really had concerns. Our treatment plant is an important asset in the city. We need to make sure that, in an emergency, that we have a reliable and a generator with longevity. The bid was $267,000. Engineer's estimate was $235,000, and that's just to purchase the equipment. Down at Main Pump Station, we had the recent failure down there. We replaced a 450 kilowatt generator for $125,000, and that was just the equipment costs. And the generator at the treatment plant is 1 megawatt. So we're really concerned about that. What staff would like to do is go back and look at the design, make sure tighten up the controls and the materials on the generator so we get a good, long-lasting piece of equipment. The contractor that bid this contractor will also have the ability to rebid as well.
But, I mean, it is for a piece of equipment that's a standby generator. Is that correct? I mean, this is something that only comes on once in a very great while.
On average, once to twice a year, we have plant outages, and we have to have that piece of equipment work when we need it, because we don't want to lose our treatment. We don't want to lose our bugs down there. It could be some time that we would be out of compliance if something like that happened. So it is an extremely important piece of equipment.
I get that, but is this piece of equipment that that this bidder has tried to put in here, is it inferior to what you're expecting, or?
There are some concerns with the controls and how it operates with SCADA, and staff has some real concerns with that.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Dave, I have a question. Do these larger generators, they don't come on for maintenance runs? A week, once a month?
They're run monthly, and then quarterly, we put the generator under full load. So I think it happened last week. We switched the power from the SDG&E grid to the generator directly, ran it under a load for a number of minutes, and then turned the generator off. So we want to make sure it operates when we need it.
Okay, that was my question. So I'm glad we're doing that.
I'll move the item then. Thanks, Dave.
Second. Motion by Baker, second by Ham, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Item F?
Yeah, I brought the setup up so I could recuse myself. I live within 500 feet of one of the subject properties.
Well, I was going to pull that item as well, so I don't want it to just be.
Nope,
I pulled it.
Oh, you pulled?
I pulled it too.
Okay, well, I pulled
Item
it too,
F.
so.
abstained.
Yeah.
Don't I have to get out of the chamber?
Yeah, if it's going to be discussed, if it stayed on consent, then you didn't have to leave, but since apparently there are other questions, then we'll
okay.
ask you to leave the room.
See you, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Councilman.
Yeah. Who do you want to bring up, Bob?
I don't care.
I want Bill.
Cameron knows everything about it, though.
Yeah. Bill's the person I needed to talk to, so.
Did I do something?
Before you speak, I want to apologize once again for not bringing this item up beforehand and giving you guys a briefing, but I'm sure your concerns aren't the same as mine, so I'll let you go first because you're probably smaller than mine.
Well, I'm close to 500 feet here. I wonder if we should check maybe before I say anything about it, because I think I'm well outside of 500 feet, but can we do a quick Google Maps there? And 500 feet?
Yeah, that's the radius for property interest. 500.
What's that? 300.
You're well outside of 500 feet of this. Just counting parcels with 40-foot frontages, you're well out, but.
I just saw these other two parcels down here in the southern part of this picture that piqued my interest.
I think you're 3,000 feet at the shortest.
I do too, but I want to, that's close enough. Can you measure that to these parcels on Cordova?
That's 300 feet.
Yellow's 100 meters. Okay, good. I can use that right there. 100 meters.
Outside is 600 feet. 100 meters, 200 meters, 600 feet to that location.
Yeah, that's just right, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, I'm
Thanks,
good.
Counselor.
Sorry about
Yeah.
that. These two at the bottom here jumped out at me that I didn't see earlier, but anyway. This is something that I've been concerned about for a long time. This program eats up so much of our sidewalk money for Ole Hansen tiles in a part of the city that we shouldn't be eating up sidewalk money. We have a rules and regulations that say you have to put in Ole Hansen tiles in this part of the city, no matter how modern your house is. In other parts of the city where we have plenty of Ole Hansen houses, you can put in any kind of sidewalk you want. It seems odd to me that we continue to require folks in this part of town and taxpayers to foot half the bill for sidewalks that cost 3 times what sidewalks should cost. And I think it's time we stop doing this. So, how do we do that? I want to take steps to do that, because this is a complete waste of money, because somebody thinks that we should have Ole Hansen tile sidewalks in a neighborhood that had them a million years ago, and they still don't work.
Can I jump in on this one?
Please.
So this is a bill, you're gonna hate me for this one, but this is something I've tried to do in the general plan when I was a member of the GPAC. It's something we try to do when we're reviewing the general plan, and it's a huge endeavor that I don't think Bill wants to take on, but I think we need to take a look at it and address it. And I think there's a time and a place for Ole Hansen pavers in our community, and doing it on some of these smaller side streets is not the time nor the place to do it. And so I think if we can look at this one in particularly, and aside from the Barcelona location, allow straight white concrete sidewalks to go in, and we look at a larger plan that Mr. Camino or his staff can come up with, where we say on ECR, Del Mar, and Barcelona, we want Ole Hansen pavers, and the rest of town we're comfortable with white concrete sidewalks. That's fine.
So we need to agendize this, it sounds
Exactly.
like, as opposed to,
Yeah, I'm not trying to hash it out tonight. I
Yeah.
want it to be agendized, that we look at an overall sidewalk plan, so we can finally get Mr. Cameron's dream of going back to more affordable sidewalks in most parts of town. I think there's a place for Ole Hansen's. I think Barcelona, in my mind, is one of those streets where it needs to be maintained, because when you walk down it, there's a substantial amount. But some of these smaller streets like Santiago and Cristobal, Cordoba, where it's very intermittent, and like Bob said, I think the last time we did this, if you walk the areas, it'll literally go Ole Hansen paver, peach concrete, orange concrete, white concrete, Ole Hansen paver, because there has been a continuity throughout the years. And so I think now's the time that we jump on board and we make a decision that going forward, we're not going to do Ole Hansen's in these locations.
So we
Call
need-
that Pepto-Bismol.
Pepto color, my apologies, not peach or orange, Pepto.
So Mayor, we need to agendize revisiting the historic sidewalk district and
Yes.
evaluate that.
and I'm comfortable, and I don't know if Lori's going to oppose it, but I'm comfortable with moving forward with Ole Hansen on Barcelona, because I think that's one of the historic streets that still has value.
Well, if we're going to reevaluate, we should
Okay.
postpone the whole thing.
Okay.
And, but
So
if,
basically, what we want to do is bring up the 2003 resolution. that's-
Amen.
And with what I'm hearing from you, which I agree with 100%, is it can't be patchwork. So as we walk through this, how do we get it so that it's not a piecemeal program?
well, that's the whole point. If you're paying 3 times
Yeah.
as much for your sidewalk, you're going to delay it as long as possible. If you're allowed to go and pay, I think it's $7 a foot for gray concrete sidewalks, and when your sidewalk gets all busted up, you go, hey, I think I'll put in a new sidewalk instead of waiting. It's how much a foot? My goodness. It's because it's very expensive. So,
So
what can we do here,
Is your
Bill?
idea that we contain it to this piece of geography, these 3 streets?
No, that's, no,
You
it's,
want to look at the whole ordinance?
because the ordinance covers, all these,
Okay, I was-
covers that whole area right there. I mean, it's a large
So
portion.
does that mean you and Tim are going to have to recuse, are you going to have to recuse this?
I don't think I'm going to, but I think Tim and Bob will.
That is going to be an issue for recusal.
What about you, Kathy? Are you?
I'm
in?
okay.
think
I'm
Kathy
outside
and I are
that
both
area.
okay.
It is
We
gonna
might
an
be
issue.
able to piecemeal that and rotate it neighborhood by neighborhood, but
No,
when-
no
on the
piece-
bring
we
back,
need-
you do it as a whole. Yeah, on the bring
Bill,
back.
like
don't
us-
worry
So,
about
Bill,
that.
what can we do for this program tonight without going forward on this and spending this much taxpayer dollars on Ole Hansen sidewalks, but doing what we're talking about doing here?
Okay, Bill Cameron, Public Works Director, and I've been involved with this for at least 15 years with regards to the tile sidewalks. Are you talking about not awarding the repair contract tonight? The issue there is we've identified areas that really need repair because of defects in the sidewalk. So if we don't go ahead, that just delays it out further, which is fine if that's what the city council wants to do. How this originally got
Bill,
going.
let me inject
ahead.
something right there. I think the goal is to allow people and the taxpayers to get more bang for their buck. And if we have to delay it a couple of months to do that, you tell me if that's a worthwhile endeavor or not.
I think it'll take more than a couple of months, because we have approximately 6 miles of tile sidewalks in the city, and they're spread out, as has been discussed by the council, so it's over quite an area of the city that we'd have to be looking at. And back in the early 2000s, I think it was, the city council at that time, when we did an inventory of our sidewalks, decided that it wanted any streets that had tile on them to ultimately be all tile, even if there was only a small percentage of that street with tile. So we've been enforcing that. So what it would take is a change of the city code in order to do this, which would require us to go back, look at our map that we have of the tile, look at those areas, bring that back to the council. Plus, the mayor, I believe, at one point wanted us to look specifically at South El Camino Real, because we've got different situations there and different requirements. Like in front of Ralph's, there was never tile there, now there is. So we're not consistent at all in our application of this, of using the tile. I have concerns about the quality of the tile at times
So,
as well, and the problem is, we've looked at other tiles, but they're even more expensive than these, so that drives the cost up further. So we can do that, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna take more than a couple of months before we could come back to you.
Well, frankly, I personally, I think it's worth it, because it's to pay 3 times as much for something that you walk on just drives me, it's odd to me. I just don't, I
let
don't
me
go
throw this out
places to
there.
look at their sidewalks.
I know
So I think we should wait and hold off on this.
But 30 of the locations look like they're not Ole Hansen targets. Is that, am I reading that chart correct? 30 of the 40.
Most of them are tile, right?
Oh.
Most-
Oh,
most
so
of the
the
locations
cheap
are.
price has to do with the frontage or the extent.
Well,
of
there's
the-
two things that drive the price. One is the amount of sidewalk, the other is the type.
Okay.
I'll bring this up again, and I know I said it before, and maybe I won't get support this time again, but I think in my mind, moving forward, I'm comfortable moving forward with every street being white concrete, minus the ECR location and the Barcelona location, and we can move forward with that tonight, and then we can discuss a policy level when Bill comes back to us.
But we can't do that because that's not on the agenda.
It is on the agenda. We're discussing these sidewalk locations.
Oh, well, we'll ask the city attorney, but.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at Mr. Cameron. I'm looking at the bid form on 6F-6. I don't know if this was bid in a way that will allow you to pick and choose, or if it just needs to be rejected wholesale.
Larry can help
Yeah,
on that.
thanks, Tom.
Yeah, so the issue that I believe our city attorney is evaluating is if we'd have to change our bid quantities by over 25%, and if we had to do that, what you'd have to do is you'd have to award the contract tonight and see if we can negotiate a change order based on your direction. We may or may not be able to negotiate a change order that we feel comfortable with. So we could come back to you, I think, with whatever we can negotiate if you choose to go that.
You can't
route.
negotiate before.
No, not before, so you'd have to award the contract.
Yeah, we'd have to award the contract,
price
see if we
could go
can
up.
change those, and
If
then,
we reduce quantities enough, the price is likely to go up from the contractor as well. So that, because these projects, these sidewalk repair projects are very expensive because they're small pieces of sidewalk. You don't get much efficiency out of that, so the more we cut back, they still have a
Bill,
lot of cost
I need to
involved
clarify, I
there.
think, just because I had some questions on what exactly I was saying, so you know, is we'll move forward with 2 locations of tile, the Barcelona and the ECR. The rest we will still do, but it'll be in the cheaper white concrete as opposed to tile. So we won't be lessening the scope, we'll be lessening the type of material we're using.
We're also lessening the cost, and we're changing the quantities, increasing some, reducing others, and I've had some serious difficulties when trying to attempt this in other projects. It depends on the contractor that we're working with and how they bid the work. So there's a lot of variables that are somewhat out of our control.
I'm more comfortable with the direction Councilmember Baker is suggesting, which is we just back off and rethink it, except, are any of these trip and fall hazards where they've been identified in our performance?
Don't answer that question, don't answer the question, Tom. Don't do it. Scott, tell him not to answer that question.
It's not a secret.
Okay.
Good evening, Council. Tom Vonnegut, Deputy Public Works Director. They are trip hazards per our policy. That's why, that's why it's part here. And I think the policy discussion that you're talking about is entirely appropriate and would be useful. We see the cost too, but I might just suggest for your consideration, we have these identified. They're out there now. They're known. People have been noticed. And I think I would recommend you consider going ahead and doing this contract, and then for the fiscal year 16 sidewalk repair, we don't do that until we've had your direction, because these locations are, in my opinion, kind of hanging out there, needing to be addressed. But
Tom and Bill, with all due respect, I have complete faith in you guys that you can negotiate from Spanish tiles to white concrete and have a reduction in cost. I have complete faith in both of you to do that. So
I appreciate that.
I still think we should move forward with Barcelona and ECR, and the rest of them being concrete. And we look forward at the policy change that we're going to create.
Are you talking about the other streets being white concrete?
Yes.
Or what if the property owner wants the tile?
You want
Because some
standard
of them
gray.
might not want to have part of their frontage in tile and part of it in white concrete. I've been dealing with this for almost 30
Bill,
years here.
that's the discussion we need to have at the council level, and I certainly would lean towards having somebody, as the homeowner, you can put in whatever you want.
Yeah, well, but the situation here is it's a 50-50 split between the city and the property owner, so.
I understand that.
Right.
I understand that.
But there could be
Maybe the city
savings.
manager's got a good idea how we can solve this.
I think we should wait until, we should postpone it and do the policy and then come back to the project.
Do we table? Do we table?
The bid, we can hold the bid for what? Probably either 60 or 90 days is the standard.
Okay.
You're going to come up with a policy in 60 or 90 days?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
It would be difficult, because there's going to be, I think, a fair amount of public input. There was a number of years ago, because the Historical Society and others want to preserve the tile sidewalks and in fact expand the use of them, and that was a factor that
came to the decision point we're at right now.
Let's take it on. So, I'll move that we table this until we get more information. Is that the proper thing to do?
How about if we move to revisit the Resolution 03-04 at our next council meeting? And delay this for the 60 to 90 days suggested by Mr. Cameron.
Before we do that, because I'm not opposed to that, is there any locations that are white concrete that we can move forward with?
You can't.
No?
I don't
Okay.
think we could do that
You can't
under
do
this
that?
bid
Okay.
because it's
Okay.
a small part of the project.
Yeah, and they're all
Okay.
tied together. There's
Okay.
curbs and.
Okay.
We'd have to go back out and
I'm
bid
fine
that
with that.
separate.
Okay.
So the motion is to bring back Resolution 03-04, again, with the direction from council being we're concerned that we have consistency, that we're being cost responsible to the residents, and that we also do want to honor our historic roots. So those would be the three objectives that I think that summarizes what we're saying. And then in the meantime, we'll delay a decision on awarding this contract based on that discussion, with the expectation that it can be resolved in 60 to 90 days.
Okay, second that.
Okay. That's a motion by Doncheck, second by Baker. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0-1 with Brown absent. Recused, thank you. Correction. My, Bob?
We decided your family should pay for all of these items.
So pleased. Can't wait. There's a check right here that we just got.
Right.
Or sidewalks.
Or sidewalks.
Dave, the notice of completion base of Pier restroom, I thought it came out great. I'm stunned that it cost that kind of money, but what
I
can
agree
do?
with you.
I'm stunned. I mean, it's stunning. There's an article a line item in here for addition of a privacy screen walls for future construction of $20,000. Is that carved in stone? Is that something we're going to do? Because it seems to me like that, I've been to the restrooms and a privacy screen wall in a place like that seems to me like a bad idea. The privacy for someone changing their bathing suit is taken care of with a beach towel. That's done 100 times a day in front of my house. It works very well. That's not a big deal. So to build a privacy screen for $20,000 and then to have people look behind the privacy screen, the beach best restrooms, frankly, I think we should make them as uncomfortable as possible so you get in there and get out of there. So I'll be happy to make this motion, but I think that privacy screen for $20,000 is a complete bad idea. Safety issues jump to mind. You got any comments about that, Dave?
Well, I guess what staff is recommending, I have a photo here too for the council to look at. One of the things that was missed during design, if this is taken from the beach trail, and as you look into the restroom, you can see into the changing rooms, both on the women's side and the men's side. You can see the sitting area all the way into the changing room, into the back wall. And the thought was to put up some sort of wall coming off the ADA restroom, either coming out from the ADA restroom or on the wall on the right-hand side as you enter the restroom, just to provide some sort of screening, so you wouldn't see directly into that changing area. There's no
budget for it this time, so what staff is recommending is to, for the council to approve a budget and then to go out and construct roughly a $20,000, two $20,000 screen walls. It'd be stucco and...
Bob, it's the first thing I noticed about the bathroom. It renders that entire room useless, effectively. I mean, yeah, but it does. It's just a bench for, you could, why would you go in there? We could just do it on the beach with the same methodology.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I want the screening wall. I mean, that's why people go in there, for that privacy, kids, whatever the case may be, that don't do well in the towel setup thing, you know, parent who doesn't have an, you know, I'd prefer to have it there. That's why the room exists, frankly, is for a little bit of privacy for that type of changing.
The old restroom did have, the walls were closer to the building, so you did have that privacy.
Look at the before and after, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's
That's
big
why it
change,
costs so
isn't
much,
it?
right there, Bob.
How did we miss that?
That's incredible.
How did that get missed in design? That's a good question.
See, I think it makes the design better, frankly, because you shouldn't be, you know, get in and get out. If you're changing down there, put the towel around you, change, get out of there. Let's get rolling.
I don't disagree with that. I have no issue, either way.
Tim, I would have to say, I haven't seen anyone actually change in there. I've seen them put their stuff down and add more clothes, or wait for someone that was in, you know, one of the stalls, but, you know, for privacy, there's a stall there to go into also to change, if you have to. There's another room. I didn't actually know those were changing rooms. I just thought it was just another place for a lot of people to wait. I don't know. To me, it wasn't a changing area. I don't think we have any hooks on the wall or anything like that in there. I'm trying to remember, but I actually thought this screening was for
Yes, there are hooks on the wall, on the inside, yes.
There is?
Yeah.
They have some failure mechanism. Am I thinking the right thing?
Yeah, they're designed so they can't break off, so they'll move.
I like the way you did that. Very interesting hand movement there.
Well, I'm going to move the item with the deletion of that line for addition of privacy screen walls.
I'll second that. That's a motion by Baker, second by Ham. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Opposed.
Lori?
Aye.
You're an aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, sorry, I didn't hear it the first time.
My only perplexity is 20,000, really? You
seems
know,
like a
can't
lot.
you just do something for 2,000?
Well, we'd be looking for something that would be long-lasting.
I encourage you to look for the most cost-efficient solution.
Okay. So we have a motion by Baker, second by Ham, 4 people in favor and 1 opposed. Brown. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Item J.
We still on the consent?
Yeah. Yeah.
I leave for
So
10, 15 minutes. You guys don't do anything while I'm on there. That's-
Oh, no.
Tom, I wanted to pull this for a reason. I want to know about the traffic. I understand we're going to do a lot of traffic issues out there, and Camino del Rio is a big deal. But one of the things I want to make sure we don't forget about when we do whatever studies we do out there is that we're not adding more homes out there. So the number of cars, the total number, is the same. I don't want us to say, we got 6,000 more trips on Camino del Rio. We got 6,000 more trips on Camino del Rio. So let's do improvements for 6,000 more trips. Let's not forget that we're taking those 6,000 trips from Camino de los Mares or Vista Hermosa or some other point, some other spot like that. That's the only point I'm trying to make. So will you assure me that we're thinking about that?
I will, and I'll add that a lot of the trip generation is from actually outside of San Clemente, but I will take your point definitely into consideration.
just so we're clear, we're talking Del Rio when it's going to extend to La Plata, so we're going to have a lot of incoming traffic from La Plata.
Right.
From outside the community.
Correct.
And they're building an awful lot of homes outside of San Clemente.
Yeah, but those people that are going on Del Rio already live there. They're just taking a new route home.
No, it'll be people Well, it'll be people trying to go from Ortega Highway to bypass Ortega to get to the freeway as well.
But those are the same people that got off on, because they still live there, no matter what entry.
The Sendero people, or the Rancho Mission Viejo people, are now going to take La Plata to Del Rio to come over.
To go to that neighborhood?
They're going to go shop at our new Sports Authority, our new Kmart center we're gonna have.
That's not on Del Rio.
It's off Los Maras, and the fast way to get there is Del Rio. You think we added lanes on the Los Maras or Estrella overpass for the people who already live there?
The only point I'm trying to make is I want Mr. Frank to assure me that we're thinking about that we're not increasing homes out there.
Well, but I think the problem is we are increasing homes, and that's why we're doing this.
Well,
We're not.
To be clear, we are not increasing homes, but there are homes being built in Rancho Mission Viejo.
Yeah.
And other areas, but I will take your point into consideration for sure.
Yeah. All right.
All right, well, that'll move the item. Thanks, Tom.
No, hold on.
We have questions,
I wanted to discuss this item. I just want to make sure, and I looked here, there was going to be multiple options for the traffic calming in this location. And I just wanted to express my support for roundabouts moving to the future and seeing what kind of opportunities we have in that location, both those two intersections discussed. Because I see
Great.
that as a great opportunity, so,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Don't listen to him, he has a San Juan Capistrano shirt on.
That's true. But
It says
only
Rancho Mission Viejo
51
right below
minutes.
it.
Literally everything you say tonight is not going to be
I know.
counted for anything.
Okay, Tom, I have a question. Since Mayor Pro Tem Baker brought this up, you have a budget of construction for $800,000. If we pick Stantec because of their expertise for roundabouts, and we are encouraging roundabouts, $800,000 is not going to cut it, right? For a roundabout?
That's our budget, and that's what we're shooting for. That's our target.
I'm just going by your prior presentations on roundabouts and cost. And
We're looking to build cost-effective intersection control.
well, if you do that like you
So-
did on the last project that you brought in at half, I think, that'll be great.
Okay, I just want to forewarn you, I can't bring these in for half of what I budgeted, so.
How about just 2 for 1 then? Can we get 2 for 1 instead of
We're going
half?
to try our best.
Okay, perfect. Roundabouts. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. They're coming.
While we're on that subject, where are you talking about? You talking about Camino del Rio and La Plata?
And, no, Camino del Rio and Veracruz. I mean, it's Camino del Rio and Los Maras.
Correct.
And potentially Camino, or Cermentosa and Del Rio.
Correct.
Potentially, as well.
Oh, La Plata.
La Plata has a signal.
Yeah, Tom already tried to make that one happen. He doesn't have enough pull at the county.
That
so-
was well before
Thank
my
you.
time. so.
Yeah.
With that, I'll move the item.
Second. Motion by Baker, second by Ham. All's in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay, that went quick, right, Lori?
Okay, next item is a report from the Assistant City Manager concerning the completed assessment of the City Clerk's Department that was done by Matrix.
Good evening. So I'll be very brief. I'm going to introduce Matrix. We have both Richard Brady and his assistant Kushbu Hussein, who participated in the Matrix assessment with the city clerk's office. We have had this has been going on for a while, so it's a long time coming. It's one of our last studies that we wanted to land with the council. If you recall, we've used Matrix for our Public Works and BPR maintenance assessment. We recently utilized Next Level to do an IT assessment, as well as we used Mercury and Associates to do a fleet study. So I think these are good studies just to make sure that, we're doing the right thing and we're looking at other agencies and other tools that can be utilized to improve our services. So with that, I'll excuse myself and allow Richard Brady to come up, give the presentation, and then take any questions that the council may have. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I am Richard Brady, the president of Matrix Consulting Group, and with Kushbu Hussein, my senior consultant, we completed this study a couple of months ago. We started it at the end of last year, and we spent a couple months with the City Clerk's Department staff in working on this assessment. And do I control this? Okay. So as all of you know, and we know too, because we've been involved with you since the late 1980s in this firm and in other firms working with you on a variety of studies, San Clemente has a tradition of looking at itself and being reflective and looking at what is efficient and cost-effective for its in its services to customers outside as well as customers inside the city. And it was the city clerk's turn this time. I don't think they've been studied since the citywide study in the late 1980s that we were involved in. So this review isn't intended to be thorough in terms of looking at council support, citizen support, looking at records management, looking at how they recover costs. And what became a big issue is how to update the technology. Wanted to do that both in terms of looking at the city clerk's department on its own and the services that they're providing, the service levels, and in terms of customer service and their management systems in place, but also to compare you to what we consider to be best practices for city clerks in its various functions, as well as to other communities in Orange County. So when we started the study, it's a small department, so we were able to work with all of the staff. There are 5 staff, and we interviewed each of them on more than one occasion about roles and responsibilities, about business processes, as well as their ideas. In each of the areas that they work in terms of council support, in terms of elections, records management, et cetera, we collected much information about workload, service levels, business processes, and the like. As I mentioned a second ago, we compared you to best practices, and we've developed best practices in every governmental function over the last couple of decades and have a whole chapter in the report based on that. But we also compared you to 18 other city clerks' departments and offices, not in Southern California generally, but in Orange County specifically. And so we've got some interesting findings there as well. Based on that, we conducted the analysis that led to the final report here, and 22 recommendations in 8 areas, which I'll summarize in a second, including implementation plans. While we went through this process of gathering information about identifying issues and coming up with recommendations for this report, we worked with staff and with the assistant city manager in reviewing those facts, findings, issues, and alternatives as we went through it. There we go. So again, as I said, there are 22 recommendations in 8 different areas, and I'll quickly summarize them. The first one is the most important because everything flows from this. The city clerk's department needs a 5-year plan. A lot of it, as we discovered, is going to relate to some of the technology needs within the department, but there's also some long-range things to be concerned about too, and some short-range things relating to better conforming to best practices. But this is a central point. It's a starting point for everything that the city clerk's department needs to focus on. 2, this is an area where best practice needs to be focused on a little bit more. In records management, this is an area that's rapidly changing because of legislation, because of case law, and other things come into play. And you need to update on a comprehensive basis your records retention, records destruction, and other relevant policies on a more frequent basis. The last time you did this comprehensively, I think, was 2007. It was longer ago than that. It's not to say you don't review it, but you're doing it on a piecemeal basis, and you need to do it comprehensively, and that needs to be done now. Third point relates to training. City clerk staff, most of them get trained, but not all of them get trained every year. The records coordinators that are in the departments, most of them get trained most years, but there's training that all the city clerk's staff should have, training that the departmental coordinators should have, and training that all staff who are dealing with the public and as it relates to records, official information, and the like, need to have at least a little bit of a refresher every year, especially as that relates to changing requirements. So we've got some recommendations based on best practices there as well. One of the technology recommendations we made relating to requests for official records and information. This is an area that's impacting every city clerk's office, not only in Orange County, not only in California, but across the country. Citizens know that they have much more, or should have much more, ready access to information. They're living with transparency in other parts of the world, and they expect it at the local level. Some are able to be responsive. You are being very responsive. You're meeting your targets and their best practice targets about how quickly you turn around requests for information, but these are growing. Last year, I think the number of public records requests were double what they were the year before that. So this is a great impact. So one of the areas that many cities are looking at efficiency is to have a portal where citizens can directly access certain information themselves. Many communities in Orange County have that kind of system, Irvine, for example, where they're able to get simple annual reports and other kinds of information, or use it as a portal to departmental coordinators or to the city clerk's office, and makes it much more transparent, makes it much more efficient in gathering the data. But there is a cost associated with reducing workload, and but luckily, by waiting as long as you have, these costs have come down quite a bit. They are typically for under $100,000 for 5 years. You can get a system that can be transparent, can impact the workloads positively of the city clerk's department, and provide the information that the public needs and wants. The fifth area, and this is a big area too. Right now, your agenda management system is not really a system. It's a system of copying, making PDFs, and having them linked. But the process of developing the agendas and the agenda packets, distributing them, reviewing them, and distributing them not just to you, but relevant people in the city and the public is not a very easy process. So this is again an area where systems have gotten a lot less expensive and can do a lot more than they did before, and can really impact positively the workload of city clerk's department staff, and make information available to the council and to the public much more easily and much more comprehensively than you're able to do at first. Among the technology recommendations we're making is the one that televises and makes available the images and the audio feed for these meetings themselves. I was told not to say that the current system is being held together with chewing gum, but it's not very far from that. It's quite old, and it's difficult to get parts for it. You don't have the ability to link that to some of the other systems that I just talked about, so that people can easily access the audio and video images of council meetings, and to get to what they want rather than having to watch them in real kind of time. So these two have gotten less expensive. The growing trend in this area is to have it on an approach where you have an upfront cost and you pay a certain amount per year. So that systems like Santa Monica just got a system like this, which for $100,000 for 5 years, you're able to keep an updated system and continually renew it, rather than being in this situation in 5 or 10 years again. Long range, we're suggesting, this very long range, we suggest that you start to consider what most other cities in Orange County, Southern California, and California are doing, and are transitioning from an elected city clerk to an appointed city clerk. That's not to say anything about the capabilities of the existing city clerk right now. She is not just a city clerk, she's also a senior management analyst within the city, and very valuable. Elections can have different kind of results, and so more cities have gone to appointed. I think 76% of the communities that we surveyed as part of this study had appointed full-time city clerks, and so that's something that maybe what you want to do when you get closer to a decision like that, a charter change or something like that, is to survey the public and find out what their comfort level is with change like that.
Sir, I just have to inject one thing in there. You're well aware that Joanne's been the leading vote getter in all the recent municipal elections since she's been the city clerk. I know you're aware of that.
I am aware of that.
We're just grateful she's never decided to run for council, because she'd trounce all of us handily there, too, so.
With all due respect, she's not immoral any more than the rest of us are, so she probably has some other goals in her life as well, hopefully. The last thing we looked at was fees, and you're not charging fees for everything you can. You're not charging the amount that you can, where you can charge more. So we have some recommendations in there, and have an analysis about what the true cost for each one of those services are, including direct and indirect costs, and to have you, as part of that planning process, look at where you can raise your fees. And that is our study, so we'd like to answer any questions that you have.
Bob, let's start, because you got a load of them going over here, so.
Yeah, I was interested to hear about the public records request system. Is that hardware, software? What's
software?
Software.
Right.
And so a citizen would, currently they go on the city website and search for documents, and it's not easy, but you can find them in there. How is this system better?
It makes that process a lot easier, so you don't have to be a senior Google executive to be able to access some of the information that you have right now, and it also gets more information on it. It links together everything that departments could have and have available to the public as part of a series of menus by department or by function or whatever you're looking for. So it's not easy now to get legislative histories from the clerk side. It's not easy to get departmental information. So a simple pull-down menu could take you anywhere that you want to.
Okay. You said something about people currently are not able to watch the city council meetings unless it's in real time.
No, I meant that first of all, it's your system itself that is old, that you've got some risks about it breaking down and you won't be able to get parts to be able to fix it. That's the biggest issue right now. So what we're saying is that the modern systems link together the legislative history and these agenda processes and the video together so that you can get to anywhere you want in any council meeting that had been televised in the past really easily, by date, by subject, etc.
So if we were, and Santa Monica's just recently done this, so if I pull up Santa Monica's website and go to their city council meeting, I can say, I want to hear about trees.
I haven't implemented it yet, but yes, eventually you will.
Who has implemented, where can I look and see what you're talking about?
Has everybody done that? Santa Monica might be up. It was last year that they authorized it, so it may be up by now.
Okay.
It certainly would be the wave of the future, then, I would have said. Yeah, this, the idea of a FOIA request for information or for, backlogs or history, I mean, if it's a public record, it's just a matter of time where we're going into this digital format that it's just a process of uploading, cataloging, and the history will present itself so that 10 years from now, it's just going to be a library of public documents that you can sort and find and do whatever you want through as opposed to bothering or going through the city clerk's office.
A voice in my ear just told me that Long Beach has it.
So
there's something else about this, and this is why all of these technology recommendations should be put in the context of the 5-year plan that we're talking about. Because, I could sit here and give you examples of what other communities paid for each one of these systems that I've talked about, but it's not just that it's changing, but the degree to which you want them to be linked, whether you want to tie into legacy systems that you have. There's a lot of directions you can go, and most of them have price tags associated with it. So that's why this planning process is the first step, and that's something that you need to do in the next year. They're up? Santa Monica's up.
First of all, thank you for an excellent report. It was very practical and very hopeful in terms of what we can do over the next 5 years. A couple of questions. When you talk about annual training, who does that training? Do you bring an outside consultant in, or who does the training?
You've got tremendous resources in-house, your records manager for a start, but where there are things like legislative changes, you could bring out somebody from outside, and periodically they do that on legislative changes.
So who on your staff, Joanne, would do this training? You?
I already go to the training. There's professional city clerk associations for the state and local, and Laura also goes, so we keep up with the
So
legislative
you go to a
changes.
third place for it? It's
Correct.
not
That's where most city
you
clerks go.
training your subordinates?
We go off-site and learn it, and then we train our staff.
Okay, so
for the
the
things that are-
recommendation is that happens methodically.
It does, and for something like the important area of records management, your own records manager would provide the training to the departmental coordinators and other city staff.
Okay. And then I read everything you provided us with. The pages 23 through 33, which has the performance target, the strengths, the potential improvements. So this 5-year plan, what I was interested in was seeing kind of the 5-year plan with, in year 1, we're tackling these 6 things, in year 2, we're tackling these 6 things, with the price tags attached so that we could weave it into the long-term financial plan. Is that what you mean by a strategic plan?
Absolutely.
Okay, and so we see the milestones, we see the performance targets, and we see the price attached?
Right.
Okay. And then, so very interested in seeing that action plan as a next step. And the public requests online portal, that is huge to me, because I was looking back here, and I know it was because of the beach parking fund, 400 public records requests one year, and I know one of your former employees was almost a full-time job for that individual to be handling those requests.
That's what most cities are facing now.
And then, do these portals distinguish between requests that are made because someone's engaged in a lawsuit with the city versus a resident who just wants information?
Nope.
No. And we shouldn't make that?
Nope.
We don't care about the motive?
do
They
not.
should just be able to get in
Right.
and get out? Okay. And then my final question is, because I am a big fan of cost recovery, how big is the gap in the fees that we aren't charging? Is it tens of thousands of dollars a year? Or is it?
So we have the number 2 person in our cost recovery practice here.
We didn't look at the actual revenue.
You want to come up here?
You don't come across on our antiquated system unless you're speaking to the microphone.
We didn't exactly look at the actual revenue collected by the department, but we just asked like what fees they're charging, and we just noticed that there's certain other fees that other city clerk departments are charging that you guys aren't charging at all. So in order to increase your cost recovery, because generally, as Richard said, I do cost allocation plans and fee studies for other cities, and generally, city clerk department doesn't recover a lot of its costs because a lot of its fees are mandated by the state, and you can only recover so much. But you should at least try to recover a little bit much, a little bit
But is it,
more.
I guess, because I'm looking at $200,000 to $400,000 for the editing equipment, you just threw out $100,000 for the portal. I mean, we're talking serious money here for a city of our size. Is this cost recovery?
It's not possible by
It's just
fees.
token?
Yeah. It's token.
Okay.
It's more like you could probably earn like 10,000, 15,000 at the most.
Okay,
With
thanks.
fees.
All right, okay.
That would pay for half a restaurant's fee screen.
And then my final question is, back in here, they talk, on page 11 of your report, it talks about these agenda reports, and it's a 4-step process, of which step 3 is giving each one of us these binders of paper.
Yeah.
I'm on the Joint Powers Insurance Authority, California Joint Powers Insurance Authority, and they gave us each iPads,
Right.
and then they trained us on what the legal implications were of having that instrument, and that's the only way we get our agenda packets.
Right.
We've all been trained, and it's incredibly effective, and it paid for itself in 7 months. Would you, but that's not in here anywhere.
It is part of that whole.
I didn't see it as
well, we
a
did
part
spec-
of, converting us over to the 21st century and eliminating that step of having people put together these binders.
I'm going to object for Bob. He still uses a flip phone, so that's not going to happen.
Well, but he would be given a city-issued
well, that's
tablet
different.
that he would give back when he was
Gotcha.
no longer on city council, and he would only use it for this purpose.
Oh.
And he would learn which
it's-
stylus to use to write on his tablet, and he would...
styluses.
Stylus.
Do you know what that is,
We
Bob?
didn't specifically say it, but it is part of the
Okay,
automated agenda
I
management
would like to
process.
have that be part of the 5-year strategic plan,
Most
even if
definitely.
it's 5 years
And
from now.
most cities are going to that kind of iPad kind of agenda process
Yeah.
very rapidly now.
Okay, because we used to, until 3 years ago, these guys would actually have to drive to our house and drop off the
Right.
binder. And
Right,
it's
we
like-
still work with cities that do that.
Yeah, so, okay, those are my questions and comments.
Anybody else?
I have a question about the methodology on the, you had some comparisons on appointed versus elected. I'm just curious about the selection of the cities. Was that just based on a random criteria, similar sizes? What was when you did comparisons versus the budgeting versus appointed versus elected, how did you select the cities you have on here?
We focused on Orange County. We eliminated the very large ones. We eliminated the very small ones. Apart from that, we tried to get information from everyone we could, and that's why we got 18. So it wasn't a scientific comparative survey, but we did try to get the county.
So it was just...
Cities in the county.
Okay. It was a sampling. There was some
Right.
thought behind it in
Yes.
terms of size, but ultimately, whoever provided information, you included it, and
Right.
it's here in front of us.
Right.
And so you...
that gave us some confidence about some of the best practice targets that we were using, that they weren't pie-in-the-sky things. They're things that other city clerks' offices have actually implemented, and that you actually compare to quite favorably.
Because I see San Diego County, I see Orange County, nothing in LA County?
No.
No, okay. I was just curious about that methodology and what was done behind that.
Yeah, it was really meant to be illustrative more than it was scientific.
I'd like our IT department to come up, ask a couple questions.
Good evening. Brian Brower, IT Manager.
Brian, when we went to the new website, we dropped off, a couple years of records that we normally had on the internet? How many years did we drop off? We decided to keep only so many years.
We currently keep 2 years of records of public meeting records on the city website. So agendas, agenda packets, minutes, and videos, it's at 2 years.
Why couldn't we digitally put in all our records going back and get them on, our website, and people can just Google and use that search engine to find all that stuff? It will all come out. Everybody knows how to type something in when they're looking for something. You don't have to say it's the city of San Clemente, you just say what you want, I mean, you do have to say San Clemente, but our city records would pop up. Why couldn't we do it that way? Why do we have to have a portal and do it that way in a, part of our website where we have a drop-down screen and all of that? Why can't we just expand our records and make them digital so that people can actually search them and not have them scanned anymore?
We could choose to retain a longer, a longer depth of records on the website. We actually have a budgeted project in the current year to implement such a portal, the portal that's been talked about. It's basically a web-based portal to our EDMS system, which stands for Electronic Document Management System. So we have a budgeted project. It was part of the IT strategic plan. And what that does is it creates a public interface so that people can search the EDMS system rather than the website for those types of documents. Because there's a lot of documents that don't go on the website that people might want to search as well. And so it'd be a one-stop shop for information like that.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's what I was remembering, is that this is part of what you've already talked about doing. But didn't we talk about expanding the amount of records that are on there, having more years? Because I know we've heard from citizens that, having those records drop off now, has been difficult. It's been difficult for me to find things that I used to be able to see.
I don't know.
So I thought we talked about increasing it.
Well, if we go to this EDMS portal, it would go back forever. It would be.
Doesn't that solve our problem with having, people search for records then?
It's absolutely a solution. If we go with this portal, we'll be exposing all these records on
Okay, so the portal you're saying, though, is one we've already budgeted for.
This is it's essentially a window in, an avenue into our EDMS system, which is a system that's already in place today that's used internally at the city to maintain all city official records electronically. And the portal that I'm speaking to, which is budgeted in the current year, is a way for people to go to a web interface that's similar to a Google search window and type in a search and search that entire system. And so they'd be able to search all the official city records that are public information dating back to the 1920s. Everything that's been scanned into the system. And I think the report speaks to it. There's 500,000 records in the system, it's a huge, huge number of documents.
Okay, so one of the other recommendations in here was to redo our filming and all that. Can you speak to that? Because that's already been budgeted for, and we are going to change that.
That's another item that's budgeted in the current year. It's one of the high priority items on the IT strategic plan, and that's to replace all of the broadcast equipment in the next room over here, and also the audio-visual equipment here in this room in the chambers.
Right, unless you can think of something else that's on this report that you're already going to implement, that you could tell us about.
Well, there's the TV equipment, and there's some other mentioning of the website and additional information that could be put up in the short term. That's something that I think can be easily accommodated with the existing city website. About covers it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
So the agenda conversion to Granicus or a Granicus-like object is not budgeted at this time?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you know what's the cost on something like that, roughly, range?
It would be a complete guess, but I think you're in the, I really don't know.
You don't
I'd rather
know.
do
Okay.
more research.
Okay.
I got one more question for you. Brian, I've had folks ask me about scannable PDFs. Do we have, if you put a searchable, thank you, searchable PDFs, are our PDF files that are in that citizens would look for now searchable?
It's my understanding that they are, yeah. Because Google indexes them, it crawls them with an OCR engine.
Okay,
So
thank
when
you.
you do a Google search, it's essentially,
So if I find one that's not searchable, we can fix it?
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
I want to look into it further. I know this came up about, I want to say a couple of years ago when we were looking at the website, and we actually determined that everything was being crawled and was searchable,
Okay, thanks.
everything that's posted on the site. But I can follow up and get back to you.
Might want to do just do a couple test runs and see, you can tell just by some of the searches, that whether or not it's really functioning. I did it the other day, it worked fine, so, on some items I was looking for, but we'd have a better trained eye for that one, so.
Thank you.
I stepped outside for a minute. Do we discuss surveying the citizens to determine transitioning? Do we want to discuss that tonight, or are we just comfortable moving forward with doing that?
Are we in discussion?
Yeah,
Transitioning to what?
Do we have to open a public hearing?
there is no public hearing, it's new business. So,
Okay,
we have no
sorry.
cards, Joanne?
No, sir.
Okay.
Well, I have a question for staff still then.
Oh,
We
okay,
can-
well, then,
I'm sorry.
let's continue with the questions. I thought we were
Okay,
done.
no, I'm sorry, it's my fault. James, this might be a question for you. On the fact that our public records requests doubled from last year, is there anything that can be done about that, other than just going into this portal and all that? Is there anything else that we could be doing to minimize that?
So I'll speak to that. One of the things that Matrix has recommended is this PRA portal. So one of the things that will be really beneficial with this portal that we can kind of take advantage of relatively quickly is creating an online form that the requester has to complete and submit to the city electronically. Other agencies with that form make it very specific for the end user to be specific with their requests. Many of our requests can be very simply, I need emails from 2002 to date. And that becomes, a very large task for staff. It's, thousands and thousands of emails, and if we've got the city attorney copied on them, there has to be screening to determine confidentiality. So that form, at a minimum, will help drive the requester to be very specific as to what they want. And so that'll be one tool that'll help immensely just on a go forward. So we aren't having to figure out what they want, or they want to talk through what they're thinking they want. It'll help us narrow down and be more specific to the task that the city has to take on. And so that's going to be helpful, so that we're not, in essence, spinning our wheels and they're going, oh, I only really needed emails from this person and this person from that date. So that'll be one step that can be taken in relatively soon, if council approves the.
So that's the only way we can reduce it?
And I'd look to Richard to see if he has any recommendations. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, obviously, the other way to reduce it is to put more documents that are online so that they can get to it, but they have to be easily retrievable so that they can find them. And so, I think, one of the things that we can look at with the portal is making sure that it's easier to find documents. And if we were to look for software like, the Granicus types or whatever in that solution, to see which software has the best benefit to achieve that.
Because I think we have to reduce that amount as fast as we can.
I think we would like to do that as well.
It sounds like we need to reduce our procedure then. We need to, get it better focused on what people are asking for.
Correct.
And deal with just that, instead of just producing a bunch of paper.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, with that, I'll move.
So I just want to be clear that we're comfortable with the second bullet point on this slide here. Third bullet point, thank you. No one has any concerns, and we're going to have staff go ahead with that?
And I'd like to, since we're going to be doing that survey, if we could also explore the treasurer's position as part of that outreach.
I would have asked for that as well, so yes.
Because those are both positions that,
So 2 and 1?
yeah, assuming this
A
is.
2 and 1
sort of-
survey.
Yeah, two different questions.
Yeah.
And most folks are not going to, you survey the citizens, most folks, I would think, would say, huh?
Well, I think the survey would have to have some backstory as to.
Well, exactly. I mean, if we're going to talk about doing this, I want to see a staff report that gives me the pros and cons of this before we go and survey the citizens. If we're going to talk about this, I want some.
Well, that's
info, 'cause
exactly
there
what I
are
brought up.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's see a staff report before we go there.
So this would probably be something in year one then, because we'd want to take advantage if we're
Election season.
of the presidential election year to
Absolutely.
get maximum citizen participation in this decision. So
Absolutely.
that would be in your year one
Yes, that is correct.
bucket.
I'm comfortable with that. Anybody opposed to those two directions? Okay, so.
Okay, then, I move that we adopt staff recommendation and receive and file the report by Matrix Consulting Group on the assessment of the City Clerk Department. Direct staff to move forward with the implementation of the assessment recommendations per the approach presented in the administrative report dated September 1st, 2015, and on file with the City Clerk, and direct staff to provide periodic updates on the status and progress of implementation.
With those two additions.
I think that's all part of the recommendation, right?
Now, we're adding the treasurer.
Treasurer.
We're
With
making
the-
sure that that happens in year one.
With the two additional recommendations.
I'll
So
second it.
treasurer's one recommendation, what was the other?
That it happen in time for the 2016 election cycle.
Mayor and Council, can I speak to that? Joanna and I were caucusing earlier about how that would sequence with the filings for candidates that would occur next summer. That's a tricky question about how you do
Timing.
that, how you segue, and we'll have some research on that to bring back to you when this item comes back, so you can consider that.
Great. That's a motion by Brown, second by Doncheck. All's in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Don't check. Next is a report from the Beaches, Parks, and Recreation Department concerning a special event application for Slide the City.
Hello, how are you? So tonight we have before us the Slide the City application, and this is a special event that would be new to our city. So this is something that has been brought forward from McFarland Productions, and we do have representatives from that organization to be able to answer any questions you might have tonight. And so the basic idea of this is a giant water slide that would be going down on Vista Avenida, on Avenida La Plata, that would be close to Vista Hermosa and Calle Saludo. So they would be charging between $25 and $45 for 1 to 3 slides. So this would be the rides on that. And they estimate that they would have between 6,000 and 7,000 people coming to this event. So looking at the math for this, they'd be creating a potential revenue minus their expenses, about $150,000 to $315,000. And one of their suggestions that they had on their application would be that they would donate about $10,000 to a local charity. And then in return for that money, that the charity would also provide volunteers and possibly selling tickets for this event. So the water usage of this would be comparable to about a 1-month usage for an average household. And one of the things that they've let us know is that they would be able to de-chlorinate this, because this would be chlorinated water, obviously. And this way we'd be able to use it as recycled water. And so the water would not be wasted. So there's a couple of things that staff would be requesting or recommending if this event is approved by the City Council. One is to provide insurance, provide a parking plan, provide restrooms, a donation to the Friends of San Clemente Beaches, Parks, and Recreation Foundation in the amount of $10,000, plus 5-10% of the proceeds to benefit this, so that way that money could go back into the community for future events, such as the event that we had on Friday night, the movie and the concert, which was great. Just wanted to plug that in at some point, right? That the storm drains are covered, so that way the chlorinated water doesn't affect our beaches. And notifying our neighbors that would be affected by this road closure, as well as the County of Orange. And so we have met with the various departments, looking at some of the different concerns. And so part of that would be these conditions, and the approximate cost to be able to have this would be a little over $10,000, and the applicant would be asked to reimburse the city for all of those costs. So with that, we wanted to give you this information and let you decide if you would like to have this event go forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have, and as I said, the company is here to be able to answer questions, specific questions about the event as well.
Pam, how many volunteers were necessary? I can't find in the report. How many volunteers did they say they were going to need?
1,500 is what I read.
It was a lot. So
In
the
all the
Friends
events
wouldn't
we've
be able to
had-
have they would not be able to have 1,500 coming from that organization or any of our nonprofits probably. They'd have to do a call out.
How many volunteers do we have for the Ocean Festival? Do you know?
I don't know, there's a lot, but
Like
nothing
100?
like that, yeah.
I don't know.
It's just a fraction,
80?
a fraction of what they're asking for, yes.
So do you think that we could put together this many people for an
Well,
event?
it says
It
right here,
wouldn't
it's
be us.
50 volunteers.
50
not
up.
1,500, I don't, 50 to 100 is what? 50.
50.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So-
we could get 50.
I think within the community. And one of the things that they have let us know is that whenever they have these in communities, is when they do a call out to volunteers, there's a lot of people that would want to do it. A lot of times what an organization like this will do is they will give them volunteer hours in exchange for a ride on the slide. So it's equal hours, things like that. So a lot of people want to be able to do this for free, so then they'll volunteer in order to be able to do that.
Pam, what is the timing on the application for the event?
So we do not have a specific date set. When they first applied, they had put in for June. Obviously, it's not going to be happening in the past. So we've been working with them for quite a few months, trying to figure out what really they're looking to do, what can we do, what we might be able to do. So if the council approves it, then we would work with them on a specific date.
Okay. And then finally, one of the reasons I think it works at this location is because La Pata is not completed, and the
That's correct.
gap won't be filled. I mean, it's going to be late September of 16, so it's going to be next year sometime, and this wouldn't be anticipated to get in the way of construction or interfere with that at all, or would we have to coordinate with OCTA and the county on that?
We'd have to coordinate with Public Works on it to make sure it didn't interfere with their project.
Pam, if we have 6,000 to 7,000 people, do we know how that equates into number of cars that we need to park?
We usually figure about 4 people per car, and so that's a significant amount of cars, a couple thousand, but part of the requirements that we would make is a parking plan. So usually when there's a large event and there's not a sufficient parking in that area, we require shuttles and things like that, so I would anticipate something like that.
Well, I, for one, can't believe we're even thinking about doing this. I go to water meetings. There's a drought, and we're talking about wasting one whole household's use of water. It is the absolute wrong message to send. People have let their lawns go brown, and we're talking about dumping all this water down the drain. Recycled water, that means that this water goes into our water treatment plant, and they'll turn it into recycled water. Well, half of the water that goes into the recycled water plant goes into the Pacific Ocean. That's how it works. So we're not saving water here. We're under a stage 3 water alert here in San Clemente. You're not allowed to have any new lawns or turf grass. You can't install that in the city of San Clemente. Irrigation accounts can't install new plants from May to October. You're not allowed to have a charity car wash in town. We've instituted these rules to save water. And to do something like this, to waste water, to me, is foolish, is the only word I can think of. So I am completely against doing something like that. I don't have any questions. Thank you, Pam.
I have a question. I also share the concerns about the drought situation right now. When I saw this, I was wondering why it came to us and why it didn't go through the Beaches, Parks and Recreation Foundation and the commission and the good folks that bring us the carnival and, some of these other events in town, because we have a pretty wonderful menu of events throughout the year. And I was just wondering why this one didn't go through that process.
Typically, these are approved at the staff level, but when we discussed this at a previous council meeting in
and council brought it up and wanted staff to look into it, it was recommended that it come back to council for approval.
Okay. Because the more, looking at the report and whatnot, it feels like it deserves to go through the foundation because, especially if there's some sort of a profit-sharing concept here. So, but I also do share the concern that we're in a drought right now, and this is happening about a quarter of a mile from a brand-new state-of-the-art swimming pool that, seems to fill a great function in our city. So I'm a little bit cautious about this.
Pam, can you talk a little bit about the event that'd be in conjunction with this event?
Sure. So what they're recommending is that they would have a water conservation event. And so at this event, they would have different vendors that would have different things for the people to be able to find out how to conserve water, how to waste less, use more, really make it a water conservation awareness type of event.
Pam, I have another question. Do we know of any other city recently that has done this event in California?
Not in California.
None in California have done this event?
That is correct.
When's the last time this event occurred? Do we know?
But not in California, correct?
This is the first city.
Okay.
So I don't know if you heard that, but the last city that they did this was in Hong Kong. So they have not had a Slide the City event in California as of today.
All right.
So the applicants here, when are they planning to do it if they did do it?
That's something that we would work with them on if the council approved it.
Yeah, I agree with Bob in that it is sensitive because, water conservation is obviously a priority. I mean, this is a fraction of a percentage of our total water usage as a city. And frankly, we've been advanced in meeting every metric that has been pushed upon us. Matter of fact, I think that Orange County cities have been, led the state of California in terms of our water conservation efforts. And so I think we've been extremely conservative, and I think the residents have responded really well. Listen, it was my idea. When I looked at this, I thought this was a great product, and I think I don't know, it's been 6 to 8 months since I saw it, mainly because it's just, it's something that in terms of, it's a very unique opportunity. I think it's something that just looks like a lot of fun, and the residents would really enjoy it. I think if we get the timing correct, which means maybe the timing is right now because we're in the middle of a severe drought, that we, wait and see what El Nino does to our water, supply and whether or not it replenishes it, and, take a look at it in the spring and see if it makes good sense then. I'm still supportive of it. I think that you could, for one household's worth of water, you could get a lot of awareness as to, water-wise and other things, and perhaps at that point the drought won't be so profound. And then, we could have an event that the Beaches Parks Rec could benefit from that would be fun for our residents. And frankly, at some point when you're cutting back usage 20, 30, 40%, meeting every metric that the state places upon you, I think sometimes it's good to recognize that conservation effort and in some way allow for a little bit of enjoyment of, the city in this regard. So I think it's got a lot of merits. I think it looks like a lot of fun. If you go online, you can see some YouTube videos for it. And I think timing is very sensitive. People are rightly paranoid about our water usage nowadays. And but if we can do it, the right timing is correct, and we can figure out the right terms and how they would work with the foundation, this might get more time to work through the process, then I think we could end up with an event that the residents would love and that we could pull it off. So, my 2 cents.
I'm not sure I can support an event that uses water when we're, people are paying extra costs for their water now, and they're trying to conserve, and some people are paying fines. So I don't know if this is the most sensitive way to promote water awareness, using water. Just kind of doesn't sit with me right, the comparison. So at this time, I couldn't support it. We'd be the only city in California in the drought to have done this slide. So at this time, I just couldn't. I agree. It would have to be where our water supply is, beefed up. And
maybe we could direct it to the foundation for a conversation in 2016 with the, fitting it into the other calendar and seeing if
They could vet it. and
the
that-
vet it, and
that's
then
our
we'd get a better
process.
grab.
Do you want that to be going through the Beaches Parks and Recreation Commission
Well, you,
as
what,
the
what do you
advisory, or are you
recommend?
talking
Well,
about having
what
the?
caught my eye, the donation to the Friends.
Yeah.
And also, I know they've got Carnival coming up, and to Councilmember Brown's question, I was very concerned that this might be competing against the Carnival. And I was thinking, well, maybe there's a way to put the two things together in the future, like we did with the Scottish Games, going forward. So, but that's your call, whether it goes to the commission or the foundation, or how that happens.
Well, I think if we would show the video, Tim, that everybody would be in support of it, be a 5-0 vote right now, because the video looks amazing. And
I'm not going to argue, it doesn't look like it's fun.
It looks like a ton of
The slide down
fun.
the street looks
And
like
for
a
one
lot.
household worth of water, looking at some of the things in here that we could incorporate into the event to save water, and, I was thinking more along the lines as opposed to, I see they put price per unit for each one of these things, as opposed to putting them as a for cost, it'd be more of a for free item. So that way, we would actually have a net savings of water on that day, because, you have 6,000 people taking home a 0.8 gallons of water per flush toilet, tank, bank item. 6,000 people, how many people flush, how many times a day? It adds up pretty quickly. So I'm in support of it, especially if we look at going forward next year, like I think you were leaning towards, Tim. I think that's an opportunity.
I think it would be great to target for the spring. We'll see what El Nino brings us in terms of, water supply, and, see if it's something that fits well with where we're at in our conservation efforts. I think it's, one of the things, and this is, Bob, we had this argument about the beach showers the other day. There's a certain point where, you get to the point where you're restricting every single possible, source of water, any application water, whatever. It kind of sucks a lot of the joy out of why we live here and what we're doing here. I just want to make sure that we have some level-headedness about this, that we're staying, because I've had some instances where people are starting to get really unhealthy in their ways in which they're reviewing, well, my neighbor's wasting water, I'd like to, take some action against them. And listen, we're not going to go police we're not going to go police powers here and send Dave Moody out there to get you. But, so I think we have to keep it on balance. But as a city, I think we've been, not only in our policy, but also as the residents, really responded. And frankly, we've done a good job on this. So if it's something that is going to work and we make that decision, then I think it'll fit well with, again, as long as the timing is right, I think it's something we could pull off. I think the residents will love it, because it looks like a lot of fun.
One of the things, too, that's jumped out at me since you showed me this, Tim, was that we haven't had the Ole Hanson Beach Club open for 2 years now. And those two pools use a substantial amount of water, just the water to fill them and then keep them at tip-top levels. So to me, we've met all the marks that Tim's talking about. We've gone above and beyond, and so we've done our fair share. So I think we should take a look at this next year at the soonest. We got to do it. It's going to be a blast.
You haven't convinced me that to get people to save water, we should use water. I just
I don't think I was going to convince anybody. That's why I wanted the video. I think the video would. Yeah, the video.
Listen, there's no doubt we're going to be using water here. There's no doubt about it. One household's worth in our city of
For
how
a
many
month,
homes?
though.
35.
For a month.
Yeah, one household, 1 month, right? And then 3,500 people. I mean, that's 0.001% of our total water usage as a city on a front like this, and you get a substantial benefit towards the foundation and the Beaches, Parks, and Rec group. It's not exactly like, there's no benefit whatsoever derived from the city, not only for the residents, but also for this. And then if you could find some tangential benefits also for water conservation, that's great too. But ultimately, I see some, there's a cost, but there's benefits. And what if we do get some replenishment? We're not in a stage 3 drought alert in the spring. Does that change the conversation?
Well, so we've got direction here, though.
Yeah,
We're saying basically in 2016.
Let's look at it again in the spring if we're,
At the
send it to the
commission level.
Send it to the Beaches, Parks and Rec Commission and see how did the Friends get involved in this? How did that happen? Maybe I do have a question for you, Pam. Thank you.
So we were looking at who would we want to have the money, and we were looking at money that's from an event. We thought this would be a great way to be able to take that money and put it towards other community events. So that's always a benefit to the community. And the Friends of San Clemente Beaches, Parks and Recreation Foundation, I think they're such a large entity and tied with what we do and what the type of event this would be.
Okay,
Well,
thank you.
and if it goes to the commission, I think Commissioner Dory is also on the foundation,
Correct.
so you can.
Yeah, he is the
at least get that
liaison,
connection. But we're putting it off until after the rainy season. Except for the mayor, he'd like to go to Hong Kong or wherever your next venue is.
You know what? Actually, yeah, we should ask the mayor to go to the next event, just to check
Yes,
it out.
I'd like to move that we
Make
send
sure.
the mayor to the next event to see how it
See
goes.
something want to do? Yeah,
It's in Death Valley.
perfect. I'm there. Okay, well, I guess there's no motion on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. See you next year.
Oral Communications Part 2, I do not have any cards. City Manager,
No comment.
City Attorney,
Nothing more tonight, thanks.
Council Members.
Yeah, Lori?
This is a request to Councilmember Ward. As you all know, I sit on the OCTA board, and one of my priorities is making sure that this carpool lane, the HOV expansion, gets pushed to the San Diego border. No, bad news. And so, no, which is why I'm bringing it up.
I like how positive you were about- No, bad news.
No, because I'm trying to be very rational about this. We had, at the OCTA, approved money for a project study, which just simply recognizes that within Measure M2, it is an appropriate use of the funds to continue that expansion, carpool expansion down to the county line. And I was advised this week that the study is put on hold because the TCA is about ready to announce some alignments that might affect a carpool lane going to the county line. And so my request to, now with back as a council member, not an OCTA board member, is to urge Councilmember Ward as our TCA member to get up to speed on what's going on and report at our next meeting what's going on with as much specificity as you can. And usually when you hear something like that, it's not, it's kind of to tell your friends, surprise your enemies, so I'd really like to know what's going on. And also, I've heard from now 6 different residents that they've been contacted by the TCA for in-depth interviews. And-
Ascertainment study.
Right, and so let's hear the results of that, because what I've heard from a couple of them is whoever the speaker, this is anecdotal, whoever there is on the other end of the line is saying, oh, so it sounds like San Clemente's ready for a toll road. And so...
What? There's 3 people that said that? Is that what I'm gathering from this?
Well, I'm just telling you what I'm hearing.
Yeah, gather information on this, because I want to meet those 3 people.
Well, and so
Talk to
by
them.
the next meeting, because getting the carpool lane extended to the end of the county is the right thing for our community, and it just crushes me now that the study's on hold indefinitely.
So you were told positively that that study's on hold?
Yes.
Okay. So let me tell the
I was
council.
told twice. It came up at
Well,
it
before
came
you-
up
As a
at our
rep for
task
TCA,
force
can I
last-
just tell you what I know is going on?
Before you do that, I got a
Okay.
question. So, if I'm understanding correctly, the study's canceled because
It's
the
on
belief,
hold.
or I'm sorry, it's on hold because there's a belief that the city of San Clemente is now supporting the toll road extension?
No, you're mixing 2
So what's
things
the-
there.
what's the correlation there? I'm sorry, I missed that.
The study is on hold because there is an expectation the TCA is about to make an announcement about some alignments that would either change the direction of that study or create a need to work with the TCA on that study.
Okay, gotcha.
And so, but the operative thing here is something's about to happen with the TCA, and we have a representative, and I'm asking her to let us know.
Can I clarify what I know is going on and what I've been told?
Mayor, I'm sorry, Kathy. Councilmember Ward is allowed to report on meetings attended?
Yes.
And so when we get to her turn,
Okay,
this would be
then I'll report.
more in order. Is that all right? All right.
Before we go to the next council member, I did get a card for Oral Communications Part 2, so if everybody's comfortable with it, I'd like to allow the speaker to speak. We only have 1. Is that, anybody opposed to that? No? Any opposition? Okay. So we have a Pamela Baker who wishes to address the council.
Do you need to recuse yourself, Bob?
No, but it's just, it'll just be 1
I hope
minute.
so.
But I'm here to talk about what Sally and John Reed were here earlier about tonight, about the T Street issue. And I've seen most of the things that they've seen. I walk my dog around that cul-de-sac most evenings, and there's times when I don't feel safe, and it's a residential area as well as beach parking. So instead of repeating all the things that they've said, I just have a request, or I want to know what it would take for it to be considered that maybe we could have more restricted parking in that area. Because since it's residential all day, but the beachgoers can park there all day up until, I think, midnight. Is that correct? Is parking till midnight at the T Street?
I think it's,
so that
is it 10?
So.
Or it's 11 because the beach closes at 10.
because
Gives
I
you an hour to
think-
get back to your car, right?
So, all the impacts of whoever wants to be down there until they get shooed off, or any noise that they make, until the police are called, and the kids know, oh, well, whatever we're doing, hey, we can hide it, we can throw it in the bushes, whatever. The police try, and they've tried many things, because I've seen some of the maneuvers they've tried, and they're pretty, creative. But I just have an idea that if the beach side of the cul-de-sac up to where the metered parking ends, just on the beach side of the street, could that be considered no parking after sunset until the 4 o'clock the next morning? Because you're not taking away beach parking, you're just taking away some spots. And then how much quieter it could be there in the evenings for the people that live there. It could be less calls to the graffiti hotline, less calls to the police, and because they do scribble and leave there, and a lot less trash pickup, because they do leave trash. And another thing is, there's so many kids sitting on the sidewalks down there and loitering. And by the way, loitering is against the law, I think. So, and they loiter. They have a free hangout place. And if they really want to go to the beach, they still can have parking up the street. There's other beaches that you can go to if you really want to go to the beach. But they have a place just to sit, hang out on their cell phones. So I have to walk in the street when I want to walk my dog, because they're taking up the sidewalk. So anyway, my question is that something that could be considered? And thank you.
Thanks, Pam. That will close all communications part 2. James, you're still going to discuss with Mr. Reed potential options for solving the problems down there? Okay, great.
Say that one more time, please, James.
I'm going to talk to Mr. John Reed and to Lieutenant Moody about the issue down there and see if we can come up with a work plan.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, back to council members. Tim?
So I wasn't able to attend because it was mine and my wife's anniversary, lucky number 13. And so, but we had a movie in the park, very well attended at Linda Lane Park after the concert. This was the second movie in the park that the council had approved in last year's budget. We allocated a portion of funds to that. I think it's conclusive to say both have been very successful. In terms of benefit derived from the cost. In terms, Pam's probably not here, but I think the first one only cost $1,500 to $2,000 to screen the movie total, and it's. Hi, Eric.
Do we own that's inflatable screen?
No.
No, we don't want one.
$1,500 was the cost for the screen and the video equipment, and then there was a licensing fee in addition for the video itself.
That's right. And so, and we don't want to. They come put up, they take care of everything, from there. And so, at some point, I'd like to extend the movies in the park idea. I think it's been successful, and to have that, as an annual, twice a year type event. We did Frozen in the spring, and then we did Lego Movie in the fall, and I think it worked beautifully, and I'd like to continue that in future years. So, and then, gosh, I had one other thing.
Before you get off that topic, can I just piggyback on that real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I asked Eric earlier this week to get us some numbers on how the vendors did at that location, because there's a large turnout, like you mentioned. And so hopefully in the future, we'll have the opportunity to have more vendors and generate some more revenue so that we can put it back into events like that. Because it was really, really neat.
And to
well
both of
received.
your points, one of the things that I attended as well for the concert and the beginning of the movie, the double header scenario. So the concert was great for the parents, and the video was great for the kids. So it kind of had two different audiences that had, options. So it was it was a nice scenario. So we're definitely going to be looking at some retooling in the next summer concert series to maybe utilize Linda Lane for a few concerts as well as the beach, and also do some movies. And then, of course, we're trying to work with different vendors. San Clemente vendors is my preference in terms of generating local revenue, both for the city and for local businesses.
While we're on that subject, I want to say the Beaches, Parks, and Rec Department did a fabulous job putting on those beach concerts this year. It was absolutely
And the movie, too. They did a great
terrific.
job.
I missed the movie, but it was, the concerts were great. And the fishermen's food was always very good. So, thanks to those folks.
I interrupted you.
No,
Okay, since Councilwoman Donchek asked me, I will report out what I know about the TCA.
But when was your last meeting?
They canceled this last month, and we did not talk about this at all.
So when is your next meeting?
Not until the 12th.
So you'll have had it in time for our next meeting.
Yes.
So maybe that would be the best time unless you've had conversations since your last meeting?
No, but I'm thinking of having a conversation rather than waiting for a meeting. But I'll certainly bring it out in the meeting and ask the question. I will ask the question, and I think, it should be in public and let people know, because the only thing I know about TCA right now is we just approved a couple months ago an ascertainment study that they are doing on South Orange County, mainly San Clemente, to ascertain who they even need to speak to talk about the traffic and what people think and what they think might be a solution, if they think it should be a toll road. The head of TCA was in our meeting room, I don't know, just a few months ago with me, and told me there is no new alignment. They have no alignment. They're not working on one. This ascertainment study was the first step to try to even figure out what they should do, because they said with La Plata opening, they don't know how the traffic's going to work, that maybe a toll road all the way to South County isn't necessary. That's what I've been told. So when I hear from OCTA...
Because it's going to stop at Pico.
Well...
I'm not making that as a statement. I'm saying perhaps.
Okay. Well, I am very disappointed because as a director, representative on TCA, I do not know about this. And I have been told there is no alignment, and I've been very vigilant on that and watching it. So this is a complete surprise to me. So that, I will be calling the director tomorrow and asking about it. That'll be my number one thing that I'm going to do.
And offline, I'm happy to give you the names of the residents that have been called, in case you want to follow up with them.
In fact, let me piggyback on that. The woman doing the study is back east for a couple weeks on vacation, and we are supposed to be meeting, for my opinion, to talk to her about this. This study is not done, not by any stretch of the imagination. I think she's having trouble getting people to even talk to her about it. So that was one of the things she wanted to talk to me to see if I would give her some names. And I've been collecting names to give to her in 2 weeks. So that's where I have been told it is. So if there is an alignment, we'll find out. Okay. So I have one other announcement, and Laura, do you have that slide? Put up. Okay. On next Friday, September 11th, there is a live auction held in the San Clemente Art Gallery for the Watershed Task Force. And Tim Brown is going to be an auctioneer.
Yes, I'm going to be.
And it's a fun evening. It's only $10, and that includes wine and appetizers. And they would like you to RSVP if you could attend it. I went last year and had a great time.
Yeah. It's basically an hour and a half of me making fun of George Gooch.
Which is very
phenomenal.
entertaining,
It's
actually.
fantastic. Yeah, dude, it was incredible.
I think he enjoys it.
He is. I mean, he's a punching bag, and he likes to be hit. So, I mean, it was actually, I have to tell you, it was so fun last year because we had the artists that were there would get up and talk about their pieces, which gave some great detail about them, and then we had a lot of people real active bidding last year, and it was fun, and so this is always one of my favorite events of the year. I hope in support of that you'll be able to RSVP and attend because George and I will have a good time together and make it fun.
Anyway, the event is September 11th on Friday and starts at 6 o'clock. If you can attend, please RSVP to Nancy at 949-500-0494. And this benefits the watershed. You can show up, but they would kind of like to have a count for the food, but you can show up. And you can also show up just at 7 for free admission if you don't want to come for the area in front, the admission at 6. So please attend, and it's for the Watershed Task Force. I think I said that before. And that is a group that aims at reducing the litter and pollutants ending up in our streets, our storm drains, and our ocean. So please attend.
This is what I forgot. So from this next Tuesday, we're going to have a meeting at the community center, and this is going to be a parent information meeting on the school district reorganization. To give the background for our residents, we had, during the budget process, contemplated the idea of having our own school district. We've done a lot of research information and would like to present that to members of the public for them to be able to be informed to determine whatever they want to do with that information. And so this is going to be at the community center. Our city manager, James Maxinoff, will be presenting the information. I'll be there. And ultimately, it's just designed to make sure the residents have all the information that's been gathered about what this reorganization would look and feel like if it was something that our residents wanted to pursue. And then the second item is we had...
Tim, before we leave
yeah,
that, just for clarification purposes, the fact that the city council's names are all up there does not mean that we're in favor or opposed or in any way supportive or non-supportive of this meeting. This is merely an informational meeting.
Well, I mean, just to give context, this entire council was open to the idea, open to the information gathering part of it, and was also open to presenting this to the public. And that's about the extent of our advocacy to date. That's all I'm trying to clear up. Thank you. And then the second item is I wanted to ask the council to consider, we've gone back and forth. There's been some talk about a roundabout at North Beach, about, that public piece of public infrastructure. Some residents are talking about wanting to put it in there. There's been concerns about where'd it come from, what's the budget. I'd like to get a more formal decision packet on that and just really make sure that that we have all the information that that we need to give some finality to that. And so I'd like to have that presented formally as a concept to the council in the public setting so we could hear from either members for or against it at North Beach. And so to have that brought for us. And so, if it's something we want to engage and do or something we don't, that we have that decision brought to us. And I don't know if it needs to go through the Planning Commission first, but I don't even know at this point if that's necessary. I'd look for direction from the city manager on that.
I think staff is prepared to do a formal staff report. And if the council wants that, then I can bring that to a future meeting. But,
I'd like to see that brought to our next council meeting.
I want that, anything like that needs to go to the Planning Commission. I'm sorry. That's, if we're going to talk about things like that, Planning Commission needs to look at something like that, I think.
Isn't it just landscaping? I mean, it involves
It's a project of landscaping, an encroachment permit for the street issue, and a new water meter and water line to put recycled water out there to water the landscaping. And then it has to do with the annual maintenance of having the city's landscape contractor maintain it on a weekly basis.
Okay. Could part of the report be whether that really does need to be maintained once a week? I mean, maybe we could look at the plant palette. Maybe it should go to planning or something, because it should be something to
Staff has
maintain.
talked to the contractor and gone over the landscape plan with the contractor, and the estimate was $3,000 annually to maintain it, and $8,000 to $10,000 to put a water line in.
So we already have all
And
those figures.
it's nothing that was budgeted for, so it would, it would need council direction.
To Bob's point, I wouldn't mind seeing Planning Commission take a crack at that, to see if there's,
A better way?
a better way, or if it's even necessary according to the, to the way the roads are put together, et cetera. If not necessary per se, because that's really an aesthetic decision on our part, but is it designed correctly? Is this,
Right, for line of sight? and
well,
all
just
that.
also, when we look at the future of North Beach, is that area going to be like that forever? Or is there going to be some changes that may cause us to have to rip it out in 5 years, So I'm with Mayor Ham in that I'd like to see it, brought to us, but ultimately they may be able to figure out and take care of a lot of things and vet out things that we could, have that information for us when it arrives.
Well, I'm comfortable with it coming to us, but at the same time, if the majority wants to go to Planning Commission, as long as we get agendized ASAP for Planning Commission so that it can get back to us, because it seems to me that it's a ready-to-go project, and I don't want to have to delay it out any longer than it needs to be. So I think it's an opportunity that we have, and we should jump on it while we can.
I think it is a ready-to-go project. I think staff has vetted it out. The issue is the cost and whether or not the council wants to spend $10,000 from the water fund, and whether or not the council wants to spend $3,000 on an annual basis to maintain it.
And so that to me is a council decision, not necessarily a Planning Commission decision, so.
I think I would like a reminder on what plants are there, because maybe we could put in some other ones that really, it doesn't need a weekly maintenance.
If you want the PC to take a look at it and take a crack at it, I can direct staff to do that route. And then after the Planning Commission has a chance to vet it out, then it can come to the council.
They're so busy with the zoning changes. But this would be probably
Let's put it in the
small.
budget next year. Talk about it in the budget time. It's not like the intersection is falling apart and dilapidated. You go down there, everything, you don't even notice it. You just don't notice it. It's not time critical. It's just not.
We're not talking about it anymore.
Let's do this. I think we should agendize it for our next council meeting for discussion. Do I have support for that?
I'd support it.
Okay.
I would.
Okay, there we
I'd
go.
like to hear, I've been asking this question on whether that traffic circle is actually going to stay or not, so I'd like a definitive answer on that.
I guess I'm done. If it is going to come to council, I'm going to be paying close attention to the fiscal impact and would encourage staff to be very creative in funding, because this could be something that gets rolled into the CARE program. It could be something where there's a service organization in town who would, just love to adopt the roundabout by writing a check for whatever that amount should be annually, but, because it is kind of cool. I think that,
What about liability?
Can't say you think it's cool.
yeah. No,
That's a Brown Act violation.
With the short week next week and trying to get an agenda done, it's going to be difficult to be very creative with financing to do
okay,
a staff
but
report.
you
by the next
understand
time. I
the
understand
point
where you're coming
that
from.
it's an amount of money that's actually accessible to a lot of the service organizations around here, including the Beach Angels. There's a lot of folks that might want to step up if they knew that was what we were solving for.
James, wasn't there a liability issue having someone else do the maintenance? Isn't that why we got a bid?
I think
for it?
I was saying in the form of cash.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So anyway, so we got direction on that one. So we'll see in that in the next thing. Bob? Anything? Okay. I'll let Laura work on a couple. I got some photos from that event last week. She's working on them. For some reason, they're coming upside down for her. I don't know why, what's going on there. So that's no fun. No one wants to look at upside down pictures. Anyway, I'll talk about it because it's an exciting thing. We had our last concert of the series was at Linda Lane Park, and the turnaround, or the turnout at the bottom of Linda Lane Park by the beach was where it was located. It was a pretty cool event. I got a lot of positive feedback from it, and people were very happy with it. It was cool. If she could pull it up, you'd see the sunset behind it with the ocean and just the setting. Everything was fantastic. This was my idea. Thanks for giving me credit there. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think this is an opportunity for the community. I said it that evening. With this new venue, we can have things like food trucks and vendors that can generate a revenue, just like our Assistant City Manager, Eric Sun, said, for not only the local business in town, but turn around and generate revenue for the events, so we can reinvest back into these events and make them bigger and better for the community, as opposed to the Pier, we're limited on what we can
I was
do.
parking, my girls parked at T Street and walked down all the way down to Linda Lane to go to the event. How was parking? Was it?
You know what's interesting is the people I talked to that came late said they found parking at the top of Linda Lane.
Really?
Yeah, which was interesting. So, we got some up. So this is after the concert was over and the movie's getting set up. So there's a food truck located to the left. The Friends of Beach Parks and Rec Foundation were there. They were the title sponsor of the event, so without them we couldn't have done it, and they were fantastic. They donated all the funds to get this up and going. And then we had Kona Ice, we had the Tamarindo food truck, which is opening a business here in town. And is that the only one we have? Yeah, okay. So the other one was cool as well, but anyway, so you can see the view here is just phenomenal. It was a great event. It was Wigs and Ties, they're a local band here in town. They do 60s and 80s music, so it's music for everybody. So that was exciting. On to more serious issues. So recently we directed staff, or we're looking at directing staff into organizing the Beaches, Parks, and Rec department. And with that, I think there's going to be a cost savings that we're going to realize as a community. And I'm hoping that we can have staff take a look at maybe reinstating some positions within the sheriff's department. And one of the things, after discussing with our chief of police, is we have a recent retirement coming up, and we have an opportunity to hire back one of our sergeants as extra help for a very small cost. And I think with the savings that we realized with the BPR director position, I think we should look at refunding some of those positions. So if I get support for that, that would be very helpful.
So you're just asking for the savings to go?
And not even all of them, a small portion.
A small portion that we look at going into the sheriff's?
Yes.
Okay.
For extra help
But we're
position.
not going to talk about any details of it, we're just going to look into that.
Yeah.
You're going to have to bring back a budget item to
Yeah, shouldn't this
formalize
be
that.
part of the budget process?
You thought that was part of our plan?
That's,
I thought it was, yeah.
I believe that we said that in January we were going to relook the public safety budget.
January.
Well,
January,
I want to
that's
bring
what
it
we
sooner
said,
because
right?
I think we're going to realize the savings sooner than that.
That discussion was going to be part of the outlet and how the outlet did. That was how we were going to revisit the.
And that's for a full-time position. What I'm discussing is a extra help position, which is.
Yeah, an extra help, my understanding is that's a seasonal application, that if there's needs, then we apply it, if there isn't, then we don't. That's what extra help means, is that right?
Yes. At a significant reduced cost from what it normally would be.
It's a budget item.
Yeah, seasonal help only. We got to do more of that seasonal stuff. We can't, we got to transition, and we got to
Well,
find
this
ways
is,
to get there.
I think, this is what would be maybe a test run of what a seasonal.
Okay, so what
It's
is it you
coming to
want,
winter,
what is
though.
it you want
We
to
need 'em in the summer.
agendize? Let's
So
stay
I wanna-
focused
I
on
wanna
an agenda
agendize,
item, not content.
Whatever Chief Moody thinks is fit for an extra help position to bring back with some of the savings we're realizing this budget cycle with the changes in BPR.
So use the BPR savings of about $210,000 from the budget to fund.
A portion, small portion, not $210,000, a small portion.
I said use a portion of the
Oh, you were
$210,000.
very clear on the 210, I just want to make sure we're not.
I'm just stating what the savings is from the position.
I think that regardless of the savings generated, I'd like to maybe contemplate what a seasonal officer would look like and how it could be used in these needs, and if we decide that, see, you call it extra help, I have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
In
Well, I
terms
think
of
that'd be part of the
how
plan.
officers, what does that mean? Do you, is it a temp, or how does it show up, and what do you envision doing? So maybe it'd be great to have the chief explain what extra help is, how that would be budgeted, or what the effects would be fiscally, and then we can decide if the savings generated could justify that usage. I hate to placehold that and say, well, we're thinking this without even knowing, what that entails.
Your button doesn't like it.
And I know that there's a reason here. And I'm going to insist that if we have that conversation, it's in the context of a quarterly budget update so that we can look at the health of the city. And because everybody wants more police support, including myself, but I'd like to see that in order to make a sound decision where we are.
When is that next report going to be?
We'll probably be in the next month and a half or so coming back with a quarterly
comfortable with
update.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds good.
One of the
All right.
points of clarification that might help is if we can ask the Orange County Sheriff's Department to generate a proposal, as they
Yes.
would with their normal contract, for a seasonal, letting them define what the seasonal is, and then when we come back with a quarterly report, we can also present that report or that proposal for that cost and have discussion with that as well.
Perfect.
And it's the first quarter fiscal year quarterly report. That's what the next one up is?
That's correct.
Yes. Yeah, okay. There you go. Okay. Anything else from anyone? Did we get those other photos, Laura? No? Okay. No. Yeah, we can do that. Nothing? Okay. With that, I move that we adjourn to the next regular council meeting. Will be held on September 15th, 2015, in the council chambers located at 100 Avenue, Presidio, San Clemente, California. Closed session items will be considered at 5 p.m. The regular business meeting will commence at 6 p.m.
Second.
Motion by Ham, second by Don Check. All's in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. See you next week.
I'm opposed.